all-out effort and win this game. All right, David, thanks.
Tap.
Outside, 80. Down to 5 on the shot clock. That one misses. Nice defense from KD. Shoots. Shot goes down.
Or he doing something.
Right there.
Cool.
Curry's got 10 points here in the second half. Pulled loose. And they're on the break. Here's Edwards.
I got the block, but ain't good at
I got
it
the
too.
block,
Okay.
but ain't good at it too. Okay.
Ow! That's your dude, man.
Having a monster night from beyond the arc. Getting 2 bombs in the first half, now 3.
Nice, Kurt. Tap. Woo! 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 Wow! Oh.
To the middle.
Yep.
Here's assist that time.
Way ain't gonna say.
I'm sorry, that's more defense down low again. It's been a mismatch thus far.
I'll be with it. Again, the West All-Star.
Such a clever facilitator. Steph Curry is fantastic at noticing when his teammates are uncovered.
Stephen Curry with the foul. Stephen Curry. And that'll be his 3rd foul so far. First team foul. To the inside. Beal can't get it to go. And Edwards with a clear path to the basket.
That's your boy, BB, right?
To Edwards. It's Edwards on the wing. Outside Curry. To take the lead. They get it back.
The man's out of here.
Here's Curry with the 3. He makes his 10th basket of the night with a Beal. He's missed 2 shots from the floor.
A pretty simple solution. Ending this run, it will just be getting back and actually playing some defense.
Breathe through it!
Here's Love. And Love.
You can shoot.
Nice unselfish pass there by Beal. He knows he can't do it all by himself.
Back to Curry. It's on the 3. That's it. Coming off an assist by Kobe. Curry's got 30 points.
Oh, wait. That's your pick. Who's up?
This guy is not afraid of taking those shots.
And the whistle blows. It's going to be on Anthony Edwards. And that'll be his 3rd foul so far.
Oh, that would have been a nice play. That would have been a nice. Hey, Seth, do run the game. Watch this.
That's his 4th foul of the contest. To the paint. It's stolen by Edwards.
Yeah, tough entry pass. Once you kick the ball down low, but you have to be crafty about how you do it.
Sit down.
Look at how the Hustle game has been going for the West All-Stars.
They've been playing such risky defense. It's been very impressive, especially all the
All right, come on. Start that man Curry. Give me this.
You know, this is one of his specialties, keeping plays alive, creating second chance opportunities.
It's hard with the drive.
Sal! Sal, why you do that, man? What are you doing? Give him a map. Now, match his threes up. Sal. This is the time to match the threes up, man. Sal, I gave you a nice dime, Sal. Man.
points in a hurry, but it can go the other way as well.
And there's a call on Durant. This is his third foul of the game.
DG's in the chat, man.
And it's the West All-Stars ball. 6-point lead. Edwards flies in. Wasted no time on that one.
That man got a mod pack. Turn his mod. I can't turn his mod pack on. A mod pack is when you shoot back-to-back threes, guys. That's a mod pack, okay?
It's called killer
And
instinct. It's one thing to be close at the end. It's another to finish.
Crafty off the dribble. And the moment Hart gets an angle on you with his strength, it's over.
And they have been relentless from deep. And you see,
I think we rushed him again.
but to no avail.
you know what? They talked about this at halftime, and they're doing a better job of creating space. And Hart is proving why he's an elite ball handler, absolutely cutting the defenses with his move.
Ow.
Second, he drops the first one, and then will put them up by 9.
The West All-Stars.
And that's good as he hits both of the shots.
There's the knockout blow. No chance of getting up off the canvas now.
Martin outside. Here's Carter. So no problem for the West All-Stars.
New game.
In the win, a comfortable win in what was, I think, a pretty hostile environment.
It really was. You know, it's never going to be easy on the road, but they didn't have too many problems with that tonight.
And that'll wrap it up, folks. For Steve Smith, Ray Anthony, and David Aldridge, this is
What's the lobby, guys? Waiting on my friend to come back to the lobby so we can roll out. Oh, what's up? What's up? Oh, nope. Ain't no more. Wait, we gotta come back to the lobby, y'all. Who's still in the cell?
Yes, now.
What's up, stream? About to get this good old game in. Hey, Ankle, your mic on loud, right? Is your mic on share? Like, they can hear you on my stream? No, they can't hear Sal. They can't hear Sal. Or can y'all hear my friends on the mic on the stream or no?
Welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining us for NBA action on 2K Sports. This is Kevin Hall alongside Brett Berry and Greg Anthony. We've got David
I have one,
from the
but
sideline.
she said no. You can't. She can't hear y'all. Turn your mic on share.
So the East All-Stars will get the first possession. A nice shot by Katie.
That stroke is just so effortless from KD. Another two from the mid-range.
Timeout called East All-Star.
Well, whether things are good, bad, or indifferent, coaches will have adjustments to make throughout the course of the game.
Not just there to pump up or discipline players. You got to make sure that the coach makes the proper adjustments and has his team in the right mindset to carry it out.
Let's do this. What type of music y'all listen to?
For the East All-Stars. Iverson with the ball. Picked up by
Wow.
Without a doubt, one of the most versatile shot blockers in the game.
Oh, they got that dude.
Area as well as along the rim. Oh, big finish.
Oh, I go with Michael. Oh, he.
just for good measure. Plays again. Good D by
You hear me? Alright. And go. Next round. Ooh.
for Anthony.
Turn your go to party set and go to share.
Has had a 40% year shooting from beyond the three-point mark. So
Yeah, they can hear me.
that ability.
Only me.
Now here's Iverson. Driving in.
Yeah, they can hear me. They can't hear them on mine. That's what I'm saying.
And the rejection by
That's what I did.
Another block shot. Searching out an offensive
They can.
1 of 5.
I did. Cause they hear Bree when Bree get on.
Yeah, APB sent out to try to find out where the defense is.
You think you gonna share that? I don't know.
West All-Stars off to a quick start here. It's a three-point game. Outside Anthony. Shoots the three.
Got one South Stream out here. I heard me offer his.
Got 6.
Can't allow that much separation, even as the pass is going.
How you make that?
Try and crowd Carmelo as best you can.
Dog, so in my dog, in my dog, so there's my dog.
No stopping him on that play. Sometimes even those defenders are helpless to stop him.
They've wasted no time settling into their offense.
Iverson outside. And he drives in. And Kilo Olajuwon pulls it down. Bryant with Butler covering.
You got Jimmy Butler too.
And here are the East All-Stars. They trail by 7. Here's Durant.
Come on.
Kilo Olajuwon with the rebound.
There's a little bit of pressure on him, but not enough to cause him to miss a shot that's in that close.
Come on.
Iverson. And the rejection by James. All-Stars ball. Out of bounds. It'll be the West All-Stars ball.
What type of music you listen to?
Down low. Out to Kobe.
Dog. My dog.
James looking it over. Stolen by Durant.
Call.
Iverson outside. Inside. Here's Jordan. And the dunk by Jordan.
And KD keeping his head up that time, becoming a playmaker.
Outside Anthony. That's good. It's Bryant with the assist. Anthony's got 9.
Well, he is looking confident.
What?
Using him so far.
Yeah, right now I don't see any let up. I think he's just good on that gas pedal.
You can't. They can't hear you because you're on your phone, and you're doing it on your mic. And yeah.
Of superstars, Jordan makes the players around him better, mentally, in terms of effort, and in terms of their performance.
No,
So he makes
they
goals
did
from the line.
hear me, only me.
There's 57 seconds left in the first quarter. Pass to Bryant. There's Olajuwon. Abdul-Jabbar covering. Here's Kobe. Oh, he blocked him. The foot's off the backboard. Moves back up. And Olajuwon finishes inside.
Such a graceful player. Hakeem is light off the ground there for that rebound, and then the skill to sit down.
Tell you.
Iverson. Oh, he misses the dunk.
And there hasn't been anything easy for him in this league.
I haven't seen him in comfortable spots, or at least spots we've seen in this offensive set that are allowing him to settle in.
Second shot opportunity. 1 second separating the shot clock in game.
Oh,
To shoot. Jordan can't take to go.
He's a guy they count on to produce from the mid-range. He doesn't miss too many open looks from there.
Displaying intensity right off the opening tip, especially on the offensive end.
And if you walked in at any point during this game to watch 5 minutes of play, one team.
And as we conclude the first quarter, a one-sided game so far. That's All-Stars out in front, up by 12. Stay with us as we get set to bring you the second quarter right after this. And glad to have you with us, folks. Second quarter of basketball. This game has not exactly been neck and neck, but plenty of time left in this one.
at 2 in the
What
morning.
we've seen from the West All-Stars, that's your take so far.
Well, they've been aggressive from the beginning, particularly on the offensive end.
Well, if they wanted to start well, this would be it.
Hashtag
Right
racing.
away, and they just didn't let it go. Like,
And they double up Iverson. And the foul on Carmelo Anthony. That is his first foul of the game. Outside Durant. Over Anthony.
good defensive instincts there from Melo, reaching out and
Good
altering that.
spot.
Anthony drawing the double team. To the middle.
My bad.
And does.
Offensively,
Oh.
they are in total control.
I'm gonna come on the stream at it later.
Here, they're trailing, and the lead seems to be growing.
And with the success they've had without
Hey.
right where you expect it to be, far better than the driver's seat.
Great to see what Melo.
For those of you following me, that is Monster 6 Jam on Twitch. And if you're on NBA 2K22, it's J Monster. So, yep. It's like JAE something, I think. I don't know how to spell it. Anyway. All I know is I'm freezing. As usual. Nothing new. For those of you that are in North Carolina right now and are near Pilot Mountain, please, please, please be careful. The mountain is on fire. A friend of mine lives out that way, and he sent me some pictures And then I looked it up online and I posted it on social media, but I don't know if anybody's out that way. So if you're listening to me at all, when you're out that way, please be careful. We've been under a severe weather warning, basically, of high risk of fires, so it's going to spread quickly, and you're not going to know which direction it's going to go. So yeah, I hope there's firemen out there right now that are trying to get it under control, and I pray for them because that shit's crazy. That's a nightmare of mine is wildfires. I had a bad dream about that once when I was a kid, or not a kid, but when my kids were younger, and I woke up in the dream, and everything around us was on fire, and my daughter was out in it, like on fire. So it's stuck in my memory, but scary stuff. So yeah, definitely be careful if you're out Pilot Mountain Way. Just be careful. Or you can sit back and watch the fire and drink a beer. Either way. Anyway. I'm gonna give it about 5 more minutes and see if people come live with me. I know I've been kind of not feeling myself lately. Need to burn some sage. Something. There was a bunch of firemen out this way, not but like an hour or so ago, and it sounded like it was right outside. They stopped and then they turned around at the parking lot up here, and they still had the lights going, but the sirens were off. I don't know. It was kind of weird. Anyway, all right. I'm gonna just go ahead and start. Hours later, Chloe lay in the dark, watching the fire sputter and spark, her mind racing over the events of the day, reaching no satisfying conclusions. It had been by far the strangest day of her life. Had someone told her that morning, when she tugged at her pantyhose and suit, how this ordinarily chilly, drizzly Wednesday in March would unfold, she'd have laughed it off as pure nonsense. Had someone told her that she would finish the day tied to a sumptuous bed in a luxurious corner penthouse in a custody of the ghoulish ghost, watching a fire burn down to embers, well, while fed and sleepy, she'd have escorted that person to the nearest psychiatric ward. She was frightened. Oh, who was she kidding? Embarrassed, though she was to admit, she was every bit as fascinated as she was frightened. Life had taken a decidedly loopy turn, and she wasn't as upset about it as she suspected she probably should be. It was a little difficult to work oneself into a satisfying fit of fear for one's life when one's captor was such an intriguing, seductive man. A man who cooked a full Scots meal for his prisoner, built a fire for her, and played classical music. An intelligent, well-educated man. A sinfully sexy man. When not only had one been harmed, one had been quite tantalizingly kissed. And although she had no idea what tomorrow would bring, she was curious to find out. What could he be looking for? Was it possible he was no more than what he'd present himself as? A wealthy man who needed certain information for some reasons. Who, if he couldn't obtain the texts he needed by legitimate means, stole them, intended to return them? Right. Color me stupid. Chloe rolled her eyes. Still, throwing a wrench into the works, impairing her ability to neatly label them a thief, was the fact that he had donated valuable, authenticated artifacts in exchange for the third book of Menon. Why would the ghoulish ghost do such a thing? The facts weren't weren't adding up to the profile of a cold-blooded mercenary. She was bursting with curiosity. She'd long suspected it might one day be her downfall, and, indeed, it had landed her in quite a pickle. After dinner, he'd untied her and escorted her to the bathroom adjoining the master's suite, walking a bit too close for her comfort, making her painfully aware of 200-plus pounds of solid male muscle behind her. A few moments and a knock later, he'd inform her that he placed the shirt and sweats, he called them trows, outside the door. She'd spent 30 minutes in the locked bathroom, first snooping for a convenient person-sized heating duct, the kind one frequently saw in movies but never found in real life, then deliberating over whether writing an SOS message in lipstick on the window might accomplish anything, other than him finding it and getting aggravated. She opted not. Hey, Daniel. Awesome spot. Not just yet, anyway. No need to alert him to her intention to escape at the earliest opportunity. She'd not felt brave. Hey, Donnie Bradley. She'd not felt brave enough to risk nudity in showering, even with the locked door, so she washed up a bit, then brushed her teeth with his toothbrush because there's no way she was not going to brush her teeth. She'd felt strange using it. She'd never used a man's toothbrush before. But after all, she rationalized, they'd eaten from the same fork. And she'd nearly had his tongue in her mouth. Honestly, would have rather liked his tongue in her mouth, so long as she had the firm guarantee that it would stop there. It wasn't about to become the next pair of panties beneath his bed, not that she had any to leave. She drowned in his clothes, but at least when he retied her to the bed, she hadn't had to worry about her skirt riding up. The sweats were drawstring, the only saving grace, rolled up about 10 times. The shirt fell to her knees. No panties was a bit disconcerting. He tucked her beneath the coverlet, tested the bonds, lengthened them slightly so she might sleep more comfortably. Then he'd stood at the edge of the bed a moment, gazing down at her with an unfathomable expression in his exotic golden eyes. Unnerved, she'd broken eye contact first and rolled, as in much as she would be able to, onto her side away from him. Sheesh, she thought, blinking heavily lidded eyes, sleepy eyes. She smelled like him. It was all over her. She was falling asleep, but she couldn't believe it. In the midst of such dreadful, stressful circumstances, she was falling asleep. Well, she told herself, she needed to sleep so her wits would be sharp tomorrow. Tomorrow she would escape. He hadn't tried to kiss her again. was her final slightly wistful and utterly ridiculous thought before she drifted off. Hey, James. It's like so high up there. You're like looking at the ceiling just about. Several hours later, too restless to sleep, Diagus was in the living room, listening to the rain pattering against the window and pouring over the mid-codex, a collection of mostly nonsensical myths and vague prophecies, a massive muddling mess of medieval miscellany. One renowned scholar had called it, and Diagus was inclined to agree. When the phone rang, he glanced at it wearily, but he did not rise to answer it. A long pause, a beep, and then Diagus to Justin. Silence. You know how I hate talking to machines, Diagus. Long silence. A heavy sigh. Diagus fisted his hands, unfisted them, then massaged his temples with the heels of his palms. Gwen's in the hospital. Diagus's head whipped toward the answering machine. He half rose, but stopped. She had untimely contractions. Worry in his twin brother's voice. It knifed straight to Diagus's heart. Gwen was 6.5 months pregnant with twins. He held his breath, listening. He'd not sacrificed so much to bring his brother and his brother's wife together in the 21st century, only to have something happen to Gwen now. Again, sank back. So long she doesn't have a further contractions, they'll consider releasing her on the morrow. A time filled with naught but faint sound of his brother's breathing. Oh, brother, come home. Pause. Softly. Diagus was Diagus was perilously close to losing control. That means bridge, not adjoining walkway, she was saying, peering over his shoulder and pointing at what he had. It was all he could do not to slip his hand into it and tug her lips to his. And it bordered on barbaric to keep her tied to the bed. Besides, the mere thought of her tied to the bed was obsessing a dark part of his mind. Still, it was no better having her flitting about, examining everything, pestering him with incessant questions and comments. Each time he looked at her, a growl rose. Past hunger, need to touch her and taste her, and do me not be hanging over my shoulder less. Her scent was filling his nostrils, inciting a lustful stupor. Scent of a lush woman and innocence? Christ, she didn't sense that he was dangerous? Mayhap not overly, but in the way of mouse look at one cat and kept wisely to the shadowy corners of a room. Apparently not, for she chattered on. I'm just curious, she said peevishly, and you're getting it wrong. That says when a man from the mounts high where the yellow eagle's sword takes the low path or journey on the bridge that cheats death. How curious. The bridge that cheats death. The Dragar will return. Who are the Dragar? I've never heard of them. What is that? The mid-codex? I've never heard of that either. May I see it? Where did you get it? Diagus shook his head. She was irrepressible. Sit, lass, or I'll tie you up again. She glared at him. I'm only trying to be helpful. And why is that? I'm a thief, remember? A barbarian Visigoth, as you put it. She scowled. You're right. I don't know what got into me. A long pause, then. It just that I thought if you were really were going to return them, she gave him a searing, skeptical look. The sooner you finished with them, the sooner they'd go back. So I'd be helping for a good cause, she nodded pertly, looking inordinately pleased with her rationalization. He snorted and motioned her to sit down. 'Twas evident the lass was obsessed with antiquities, and curious as the day was long. Her fingers actually curled absently whenever she looked at the codex, as if she was aching to touch it. He'd like to see her aching to touch him like that. Worldly women all but pushed him into bed. He'd never seduced an innocent before. He sensed that she would resist, and thought both amused and aroused him. Huffily, she plunked down on the sofa opposite him, folded her arms, and stared at him across piles of texts and notebooks on the marble table between them. Lush lips pursed, one foot tapping. One wee, bare, delicate foot with shell-pink toenails, slender ankles peeking from his rolled-up sweats, clad in one of his linen shirts and sleeves pushed up to the elbows, which also where the shoulders dropped onto her delicate frame, her hair mussed about her face. She was a vision. The fickle March sun had decided to shine for the moment. Like as not, he thought, just so it could spill on the wall behind her and kiss her curly coppery blonde tresses. Tresses he'd like to feel spilling over his thighs, while those lush pink lips... Eat your breakfast, he growled, turning back to the text. She narrowed her eyes. I already did. I'm going to lose my job, you know. What? My job. I'm going to get fired if I don't show up for work. And how will I live then? I mean, assuming you really mean it about letting me go. She gave him another haughty glare, then glanced towards the door for the dozenth time. And he knew she was wondering if she could make it to it before he stopped her. He wasn't worried. Even if she made it out the door, she'd never make it onto the elevator in time. He knew that also earlier. She'd stood behind him, her gaze drifting betwixt a heavy lamp in the back of his skull. She hadn't tried to bash him with it. Wise lass. Mayhaps she'd seen his tense readiness. Mayhaps she decided his skull was too thick. Most men are that way. He inhaled deeply and released it slowly. If he didn't get her out of the room soon, he was going to leap the table betwixt them, pin her to the sofa, and have his way with her. And though he fully intended to, he needed to finish the mid-codex first. Discipline was a crucial part of controlling the evil within him. The first portion of the day was for work, the evening for seduction, and the wee hours for more work. He'd been living that way for many moons. 'Twas imperative he kept things neatly compartmentalized, but he could too easily become a man consumed by indulging whatever momentary need or whim struck him. Only by rigidly maintaining his routines, never deviating, did he prove to himself that he was indeed in control. The Drogar, he brooded. This was the third mention of them he'd encounter. The peculiar phrasing did seem to encompass his actions. The man from the mounts, the bridge that cheats death. But who or what were the Drogar? Were they mayhap some faction of the legendary Tuatha De Danann? Would they return from their mythic hidden places to hunt him now that he'd broken his oath and violated the compact? The deeper he dug into the tombs that neither he or Drustin had previously paired a thought for, the more he realized that his clan had forgotten, even abandoned, much of their ancient history. The Kelter library was vast. In his 33 years, he'd scarce made a dent in it. There were texts no Kelter had bothered with for centuries, mayhap millennia. There was too much lore for a man to absorb in a single lifetime, and verily there had been no need to. Over the eons they had grown carelessly and content, looking forward, not behind. He supposed that man's way of relinquishing the past is to live in the now, unless suddenly the ancient past becomes critical. That statement right there goes with my earlier conversation of one of my previous streams of believing that aliens are humans that are time travelers and they're coming back to collect information before it's gone. But it's just a theory. So, had they not forgotten so much, he might never have stood in the circle of stones, assuring himself that there was no evil in the in-between awaiting him, should he use the stones for personal motive. He might have never half convinced himself that the Tuatha De Danann, a vague race spoken in vaguer terms, but were a myth, a fairy tale woven to prevent Kelter from misusing his power. Not that he believed that he had been abusing it. He'd not thought of his actions as serving personal motives. Well, not entirely. For it was love, not the greatest and most noble purpose of all. She was havering away again. How best to make her give him some peace? A predatory smile curved his lips. He looked up, raised his eyes from the text, and looked at her, deliberately letting all that he was thinking about doing to her, which was everything, show on his face, blaze in his gaze. She sucked in a soft breath. Head canted down, he looked at her from beneath his brows, and it was the kind of look one warrior might give to another in a challenge, or the kind of look a man would give a woman he intended to thoroughly plunder. Slowly, with the lazy sensuality, he wet his lower lip, dropped his gaze from hers to her lips and back again. Her eyes grew impossibly round, and she swallowed. He caught his full lower lip with his teeth and slowly released them, then smiled. It was not a smile meant to reassure. It was a smile to promise dark fantasies, whether she wanted them or not. I'll just be in the study, she said faintly, hopping briskly from the sofa and practically running from the room. Only after she left did he make that noise, a long growl of anticipation. Chloe's heart was hammering furiously, and she wasn't seeing a darn thing as she pretended to peer at the titles of the books on the shelves in his study. Heavens, that look. Holy cow. There he'd sat across from her looking breathtakingly gorgeous in black from head to toe. His gorgeous midnight hair pulled back from his gorgeous face, essentially ignoring her. Then he raised his eyes, but not his head, from the text and given her a look of quintessential sexual heat. No man had ever looked at Chloe Xanders like that. Like she was some kind of succulent dessert and he was coming off a week-long fast of bread and water. His lip, God, when he caught and released that sinfully full lower with his teeth, it made a girl just want to snack on it for hours. I do believe the man might be planning to seduce me, she thought wonderingly. Yes, she knew he was a womanizer. And yes, last night he'd seemed flirtatious. But she hadn't taken it seriously. She wasn't exactly the kind of woman that men like him fell all over themselves trying to get to. I know that feeling all too well. Chloe was pretty realistic about her looks. She wasn't tall, leggy, model material, that was for sure. Even the security guys said that she wasn't his type. But that look. He only did it to get you to leave, Xanders, she muttered herself. And it worked, you willy-nilly chicken, you. She was on the verge of stomping back out there and calling his bluff. Indeed, he'd moved back toward the door and was about to step out when he made a sound. A sound that made her shiver and close the door instead and lock it. A hungry animal sound. Leaning back against the door, Chloe took slow, deep breaths. She was in way over her head. It was one thing to be held hostage by a criminal, to maybe fantasize about kisses, but it was entirely another thing to be seduced by him. A dastardly man was both a thief and a kidnapper, and she dare not forget that. She had to escape before it was too late, before she was fabricating reasons not merely to aid and abet the criminal, but to present him with her virginity on a silver platter. When Chloe crept from the study half an hour later, the arrogant man actually let her get all the way to the door before he bothered moving. When he stood slowly, as if he had all the time in the world, and gave her a look of gentle reproof and disappointment, as if she was doing something wrong. Defiantly, Chloe brandished the short sword she pilfered from his wall collection, having decided it was the best size for her, 18 inches of razor-sharp steel. I told you I won't tell anyone, I won't, but I can't stay here. Put down the blade, lass. Chloe twisted the interior deadbolt. The precise moment she tugged at the door, he lunged, and when it didn't open, she was stunned. Then realized that it hadn't been locked to begin with. Frantically, she scrambled to turn it the other way, but his palm hit the door above her head, and he crowded her with his body. Instinctively, she raised the sword, and he stiffened at the tip of it as it came to a rest at his heart. They stared at each other for a long moment. Dimly, she realized his breath was coming as shallowly as hers. Do it, lass, he said coolly. What? Kill me. I'm a thief. The evidence is here. You'll need but summon your police and show them I am, or was, the ghoulish ghost, that I held you captive. None will blame you for killing me to escape. 'Tis no more than any honest lass would do. She gasped. Kill him? She didn't like hearing him speak about himself in the past tense. It put a cold, awful knot in her stomach. Do it, he insisted. I don't want to kill you. I just want to leave. Because I've treated you so badly. Because you're holding me captive. And it's been awful, has it no? He mocked lightly. Just step back, she hissed. When he deliberately pressed his body forward against the tip of the sword and she felt his skin give beneath the blade, she gasped. His lips curved in a chilling smile, and she knew if she drew the blade back, it would probably gleam red with his blood. The awful knot was joined by nausea. Kill me, or put down the sword, he said with deadly intent. Those are your options. Your only options. Chloe searched his eyes. Those glittering golden eyes. They seemed to be swirling with shadows, changing color, dimming from molten amber to burnt copper, but that wasn't possible. The moment was taut with danger, and she had the sudden bizarre feeling that something else was in the penthouse with them. Something ancient and very, very cold. Or was it just the coldness in those eyes? She shook herself, scattering her absurd thoughts. He was serious. He would make her kill him to leave, and she couldn't do it. It wasn't even remotely possible. She didn't want Digus McKelter dead. She didn't ever want him dead. Even if it meant he was out there, a rogue thief, beautiful as a fallen angel, breaking laws and stealing artifacts. When she let the sword dip, his hand moved in a lightning-fast blur of motion. She screamed, dropping the sword, and a silver flash of blade arched up toward her face. It sank into the door behind her ear. Look at it, lass, he ordered. What? The dirk. 'Tis a 14th century skiando. She turned her head gingerly and peered at the blade protruding from the door, then glanced back at him. She was walled in by 6 feet plus of muscle and man, palms on either side of her head, a knife by her ear. He'd had it somewhere on his body all along. Could have used it on her at any moment, but hadn't. You like your artifacts, dinna you, lass? She nodded. Take it. Chloe blinked. He dropped his hand suddenly and stepped back. Go on, take it. Eyeing him warily, Chloe tugged the blade from the door with a little grunt. It required both her hands to free it. Oh, she breathed. Hilt studded with emeralds and rubies. It was exquisite. The finest blade she'd ever seen. This must be worth a fortune, and it's in mint condition. There's not even a teeniest nick on the blade. Tom would give anything for this. I'm sorry, but that shit was fucking hot. I'm so weird. I really am. I don't know what it is about like situations like that are just like, yes. Check out my Fed life. She was afraid, might she? 'Tis my own. 'Tis the crest of the Kelter on the hilt. Now it is yours. For when you leave, should you lose your job. He turned around and stalked back to the sofa. Then he sat down and resumed working on the text. Chloe stood in stunned silence, her gaze drifting from him to the skiandu and back again. Several times she opened her mouth to speak and then closed it. His actions had just demonstrated more persuasively than any words that he might have used that he'd meant it when he said that he wouldn't hurt her. What words had he used last night? Naught will be done to you that you do not wish done. She didn't find that quite as comforting as she might have had her own wishes been a bit purer. And this is why men are confused as fuck. Hashtag me too and you're all wet. What the fuck? To each their own. I am confused myself because there's a lot of things that I do like and that I don't like. I was just invited to go to a swingers party. I was like, no, thank you. Have fun though. I know a lot of people that are in different types of groups, and I'm, like I said, I'm very open-minded, but I know my own boundaries, so have fun. Just make sure that, you know, make sure you wear a raincoat if it ain't raining. Shake my head. I have fantasies too. I'm human, you know. I have a lot of fantasies, actually. Like, a lot. As soon as I was reading that, I was just like, yes. Remember, I haven't read this book before. I have no idea what's in it. I'm learning it just the same way as y'all are. I'm having the same, like, oh my God moments that y'all are. And to Daniel. And I think I forgot to delete last night's stream, but I wonder if I should write something specifically for you. Go ahead if you'd like to. I know for a fact I'd probably love it. I talked to him more today. I'm not getting my hopes up about anything, but it's been a nice conversation. Oh, and He's single. I'm just not pushing it though. I sent you a 1 hour video on Discord for you. Oh my God. I just had like a mental image of like the craziest fucking porn that there was ever out there. I probably wouldn't get past the first 10 minutes, to be honest with you. I don't know why, like the first thought that I just had was that. You know when you haven't talked to somebody in a long time and like all the emotions just flood over you at the same time. My personal stuff is only like 45. Hey, those 45 seconds could be the best damn time of your life. I guarantee it. I mean, hell, if I can fawn over somebody for 2 years and I've never had sex with them, like, you know what I mean? Shit, 45 seconds could be bliss. You never know. Could be a lifetime. It's almost a whole minute. The vid I sent is relationship stuff, deep. Why you give me this? You already know I'm like already deep in my own damn head. Hey, Victor. I appreciate it though. Use it as an example. I'll watch it when we get done, okay? I took a little power nap earlier. My son came in like 3 times. I was like, bro, I'm going to kick your ass. I'm going to wake you up in the middle of the night with fucking cold water if you keep coming in here. He did bring me turkey tacos, though. That was cool. I was so exhausted earlier. I stayed up till 5 o'clock this morning. I was talking to a friend of mine who's going through some shit, so. After I got off the stream, I ended up sitting here until 5 o'clock anyways. I was like, I might as well just get streaming. But no, I was glad I was able to talk to him, so. That karma thing where you meet people, etc. I sent it because it was like I should. The universe put it in front of me. Oh, I told them everything how I felt. Everything. Well, not everything, but like mostly all of everything. I didn't get into. I kind of went into a little bit of detail, and I feel like after I read it back to myself, after I typed it and sent it, I was like, damn girl, you sound so fucking crazy right now. You know when you have that like emotional like zero control over yourself, it's like emotional overload, and then afterwards you look at like the situation or like reread whatever you wrote or whatever, and it was like I really shouldn't have done that. Like now I feel stupid. Like rereading it after I sent it, I should have saved it. I feel so fucking stupid now, but I feel better. I do. I feel better. I mean, I had like set like one time before I had sent something similar, but like I think he was in a relationship at that point in time. I don't know. But now I waited until after he told me that he was single to send it. I was like, I gotta make sure he's not with somebody, because if she ends up reading this is going to be a nightmare. So Thank you. Yes, you feel better, and the look on your face was like when you finished your book. Feels good to feel happy again. But like I said, I'm not holding my breath. I'm just glad that he's okay and he's doing well for himself. And, I don't want anything from him. Be nice, but I'm not expecting anything. I just hope him and his family and people that, he's friends with and stuff, they all have a good life. I don't remember where I was at. Okay, here we go. You had your say, proud of you. I am too. It took a lot of weight off of my shoulders and my soul to do that. And even though I felt like I was like completely obsessed crazy, and that's what I was talking about. Like when you start to feel like you're so overly obsessed with one specific thing, it doesn't matter what it is. When you feel like you're so overly obsessed with one specific thing that it takes over your entire existence, like you can't breathe without it, you can't exist without it, and it's time to take a break until you're able to have whatever it is around and not be obsessed with it. I took a 2-year break. Still not completely okay. You get one free no strings attached spanking for doing that and unburdening yourself. I believe in positive reinforcement. That's awesome. Oh Lord, what am I gonna do? If you still feel the same way 2 years later, then you know it's not obsession. Two-year-long break is a pretty long fucking break. Spank me later. I'm just kidding. He'd just put an ancient Celtic artifact in her hands and called it hers. Her fingers curled possessively around the hilt of the dagger. She would object strenuously, or at least protest politely. And she was going to. Any time now. She waited. Any time now. Sighing dismally, she acknowledged that some things just weren't humanly possible. Not even Martha Stewart could fold fitted sheets. I can. I can fold fitted sheets. It's witchcraft. Why am I holding on to an empty bottle of nothing here? Ouch. I can pick up a log from a tree, but I can't open a fucking bottle. What kind of bullshit is this? I like these. They're like the flavored ones. They're pretty good. They're probably like liquid death, but whatever. Back to the book. But I will say that old thing about having feelings means you're alive and that you have a heart. If you didn't, there would be a problem. And since you did, it reassures you that you can still love. You know, for a long time, I begged Elon Musk to put my living conscience into an AI so I didn't have to feel anymore. I was hurting so bad. I had a 30-second elevator pitch posted on my Twitter. Go to my Twitter. You'll see it. I sent a fucking 30-second elevator pitch for him to take my body for science, put my living conscience into an AI machine, and send it into space for exploration. Infinitely. Just so I didn't have to feel anymore. I would take human DNA and repopulate a planet with my AI. Implant all of the memories and all of the knowledge from all over and just send me to space for infinity. I don't even want to be here anymore. That's how much pain I was in. When you want to get the fuck off the goddamn planet, you don't want to be human anymore. And he thinks he's crazy. Anyway. Yes, back to the book. I do want to get a good portion of it. We're only this far. And I don't know how many streams I've already done. Oh, Grunda, why didn't you ever tell me Scotsmen were so fascinating? He knows just how to get me. She almost thought she heard Evan McGregor's soft laughter, as if he'd answered her from somewhere beyond the stars. You wouldn't be satisfied with the list, Chloe. You've got your share of wild blood in you, too. Did she? Was that why lately she'd been waking up in the middle of the night, full of energy that desperately needed an outlet? Why, despite how well her job was going, she knew she was going to be promoted soon, that she'd been growing increasingly restless. For months now, a small but insistent voice inside of her had been murmuring, "Is there all there is in my life?" The ghoulish ghost was offering her a bribe, a payoff of sorts. Be a good lass, and leave with a prize, her very own Celtic artifact. In exchange for her silence and cooperation, Chloe was having an ethical crisis. Fortunately, it was brief. She stooped to pick up the forgotten sword and return it to the study. I could use some clothes that fit, she grumbled as she passed behind him. Had his back not been to her, and she seen the smile that curved his lips, she would have shivered from head to toe. Diagus, darling, I miss you. I need you. I'm dying without you. Pause. Call me. It's Catherine. The answering machine clicked off. A moment later, Diagus appeared. Their gazes collided as he turned down the volume on the answering machine. Diagus, darling, Chloe cooed, feeling inexpectably irritable. There she'd been, paging delicately through the mid-coax and feeling strangely content while he rattled about domestically in the kitchen, cooking for her, when Catherine had interrupted. He flashed her an entirely too devastating smile and shrugged. I'm a man, lass, then went back to the kitchen, leaving Chloe to mutter beneath her breath. Just why she cared she had no idea, but it irritated her. understand that kind of thinking. My personality has evolved into a fuck y'all, I'm going home attitude. And I demand you want to be with me and not that you need to be with me, if that makes sense. I think we already had this conversation. Yes, I don't need to have a partner. I want one. Just one. Specifically one. But if it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. I think I'm past that part now. Thank God. And don't get me wrong, I have crushes everywhere, but I mean, it's not like I'm actually going to act on them. I mean, so a lot of people do, but I might just sit there and stare for a while and fantasize. I totally thought the book would have gotten to bondage sex by now. It's working its way up to just patience, Daniel-san. Wax on and then wax off, you know? All right, let's find this bondage shit. This book is legitimately... Look at that! It's falling apart in my hand. The glue has completely come undone. I'm not even going to hold the rest of it. I'm just going to hold this little piece. Were you born in Scotland? Chloe asked later, pushing her plate back with a sigh. Another fabulous dinner. Aberdeen Angus steak with mushrooms and wine sauce. Oh, that shit sounds good. Young red potatoes with chives, salad, and crusty bread spread with honey butter and wine, though he was sipping Macallan, fine single malt scotch. That sounds like an awesome fucking dinner. I'm so hungry now. Them turkey tacos didn't do shit. I'm just kidding. They were actually pretty good. So, oi, the Highlands near Inverness, and you? Indianapolis. But my parents died when I was 4, so I went to go live in Kansas with my granda. That must have been difficult. It had been horrible. They refused to let her see her parents' bodies, which, though now she understood, at the time she hadn't. She thought someone had stolen them and wouldn't give them back. Hadn't believed that they could just not be anymore. But eventually she healed. She knew it had shaped her in ways people with parents would never understand, and she'd been lucky. She had someone who rescued her, and Chloe believed one should always count one's blessings. Word to Scots blood in you, lass. My granddad, Evan McGregor. Do you have a family? A dark shadow fitted his eyes, a brief flash of anguish, there and gone so quickly that she wasn't certain that she hadn't imagined it. My mother and dad are dead. I have a brother. He rose abruptly, gathering plates and taking them to the kitchen, leaving her to puzzle over what she thought she'd glimpsed. She was determined to pursue it, but when he returned, he distracted her by placing a glass of sparkling blood-red liquor in one hand and a cigar in the other. Chloe blinked. What is that? The finest cigar money can buy, and a glass of equally fine port. And just what do you think I'm going to do with that? Enjoy. He flashed her a charming smile. Chloe peered at the cigar curiously, rolling it in her fingers. She'd never smoked. Not anything. Had never wanted to. But if ever a moment was ripe to try something new, it was here and now with a man who certainly wouldn't sit in judgment upon her, no matter what she might do. It was strangely freeing, she realized, being around a man like him. Oh, do not fuss yourself. You needn't inhale it. 'Tis but the subtle combination of the port and the pungent smoke on your tongue. Give it a try. If you do not like it, at least you'll know the next time someone offers you one. He showed her how, preparing the cigar, coaxing her to puff it alight. I feel like I'm doing something bad, she sneezed. Ugh, she had no idea how bad. A small thing to get her to smoke a cigar and have port. Lasses love to flirt with danger, with things they never tried before, no matter how good they were, oft because of how good they were. And one wee taste of the forbidden oft translated into hunger for other fruit. Hunger, Chloe lass, he willed in silently. I'll sate any desire you have. He could neatly taste her innocence with his tongue. Indeed would, very soon. You've been doing something bad since the moment You've been doing something bad since the moment you've met me, lass, he purred, meaning himself. But when she glanced askance, he provoked, snooping about in my bedroom. I only snooped in your bedroom because I had stolen artifacts in there. And why were you in my bedroom in the first place? He asked silkily. Because I got, and I must confess, I've been wondering just what you were doing near enough to my bed to find those books. You must have been all but in it. Were you curious about me? About my bed? Mayhap about me in it? Her blush deepened. I was snooping, okay? But if I had any idea what I was going to find, I wouldn't have. He smiled, a slow, seductive smile, and Chloe caught her breath. Take a sip of port and let it lie upon your tongue like a moment. Chloe sipped. No, the cigar. She puffed lightly, sweet and smoky, a fascinating combination. Another sip, another puff. She laughed. She felt silly puffing on the fat cigar. She felt warm and alive. She turned her head to tell him what she thought, but he dropped beside her on the sofa, and she ran into his lips. Smack into the decadent, full, sinful mouth, and the minute they made contact, Chloe sizzled. Oh, now I gotta go back. Wait. The whole scarf thing at the beginning concerned me because those get too tight, correct. But him having the dagger was good because you need to be able to cut the bonds quickly, correct. Women, oral fixations are God's gift. I just like the idea of the knife and oral fixations. And, well, being tied. But yeah, anyway. Anyway. Heat lanced through her from head to toe. A kind of wild heat she'd never felt before. A heat that she instinctively understood could burn her beyond recognition. He'd not smoked his cigar, and he tasted of malt. When his hot tongue slipped inside of her mouth, her entire world upended. She scarcely noticed when he deftly slid the cigar and glass from her hands, depositing them elsewhere. He might have dropped them on the floor for all she cared. Chloe Luss, I need to taste you. Open more. Give me. He buried his hands in her hair, kissing her, and suddenly it was utterly insignificant that he stole the artifacts, that he'd taken her captive, that he'd lived outside the law. She cared only that his tongue was in her mouth and how it made her feel. The world ceased to exist beyond that. Slow, deep kisses, erotic nips with his teeth, his mouth gliding, slipping and sliding all over hers. He caught her lower lip and tugged it lazily away, returned to catch it again, then slanted his mouth firmly over hers, plundering. He nibbed, sucked, consumed. The man didn't simply kiss, he made love to a woman's mouth. Made it feel all hot and swollen and achy. Made her feel funny noises and feel shaky all over. Made her feel like she might. The knife fantasy intrigues me, but to be perfectly honest, not my thing. I would worry way too much due to the intense gyrations. I don't know how to answer that. I'm dying without you. Call me. It's Catherine. Totally lose herself and fall for him like the countless women undoubtedly had. A woman he'd not called back, and unlike what she'd heard in the sophisticated purr of Catherine's voice, Chloe didn't possess the proper worldliness and necessary defenses. If she were foolish enough to let him, the man would use her and discard her, and there'd be no one to blame but herself. Did you see that? Mr. Million Question? Hi. My LED lights just started flashing like crazy for a minute. Like there was power surges or something. That was really weird. I just want to make sure that nothing's gonna catch fire or nothing. I might turn them off tonight. Usually I leave them on. Didn't show on the video outfit check. You seem so comfy. I'm very comfy, other than the fact that I'm freezing. It's I don't think it's as cold tonight as it was last night. Oh, it's only 37 degrees. And I have no heat. I mean, I have a little tiny heater. Yeah. It's a little chilly. Thanks for the hearts, love. All right. Where was I? If she were foolish enough to let him, the man would use her and discard her, and there'd be no one to blame but for herself. It wasn't as if she didn't know, going in, what kind of man he was. Definitely the love him and leave him type. And how would she feel, knowing she'd been just another hit and run? Used. That was how. Stop, she breathed. He didn't. His hands dropped from her hair to her breasts, moving possessively over them, cupping and plumping. His thumbs glided over her nipples, and they peaked instantly. She felt like she was drowning. The man was too overwhelmingly male and sexual, and Chloe knew that she had to stop him, because in a few more moments, she wouldn't be able to remember why she should. Please, she cried, stop. He held her lower lip hostage for a long, erotic moment. Then, with a ragged growl, he broke the kiss. He rested his forehead against her, his breathing shallow and fast. When had it gotten so cold in the room? She wondered dimly. There must be a window open somewhere, letting in an icy breeze. She shivered. Her skin was hot, flushed from his passion, yet the fine hair all over her body had puckered into goosebumps. "I won't hurt you," he said, his voice low and urgent. Maybe not physically, she thought, but there are other kinds of pain. In 24 hours, she had become hopelessly infatuated with a thief, mesmerized by a stranger who dripped forbidden and secrets and criminal. She shook her head, straining to pull away from him. Accepting a bribe was one thing, losing herself was another, and she had no doubt that she could get lost in such a man. They simply weren't in the same league. His hands went back up to her hair, and he clutched tightly, his head down, and for a moment she thought he would refuse to let her go. Then he raised his head and looked at her, his gaze dark and intense. "I want you less." "You hardly even know me," she retorted shakily. She suspected that when Daigus McKelter told a woman that he wanted her in such a voice, he didn't hear no often, if ever. "I wanted you the moment I saw you on the street." On the street? He'd seen her on the street? When? Where? The thought that he'd noticed her before they'd met in his bedroom made her feel breathless. "You were arriving as I was leaving. I was in a cab behind you. I saw you and He broke off abruptly. "What?" He smiled bitterly and traced the pad of his thumb over her lower lip, still swollen and damp from his kisses. "And I told myself, a lass like you was not for me." "Why?" The desire in his eyes ebbed, replaced by such a remote, empty expression that she felt it like a slap. Damn book. Shut her out. Hold on. He'd shut her out completely. She could feel it and didn't like it one bit. Felt bereft. He stood abruptly. Come, lass, let's put you to bed." He smiled mockingly, another one of those that didn't reach his cool eyes. "Alone, if you insist." "But why? Why would you think that?" It was terribly important for her to hear his answer. He didn't answer her. Merely escorted her to the bathroom, offered her a towel for a shower if she wished, which she was definitely too uncomfortable to do and refused, but washed up and brushed her teeth again. Then motioned her towards the bed so he could tie her. "Must you do this?" she protested as he knotted the first scarf. "Not if I'm sleeping with you," he said with a cool reply. She thrust her wrists at him. "I know you're untouched, if that refreshes you." "And we both know you're not," she muttered irritably, Mr. Multiple magnums beneath the bed. How did he know that she was a virgin? Was it stamped on her forehead? Were her kisses so inept? "'Twas not but practice for the day I might please you." She shivered. Smooth. Very smooth. "If you don't tie me, I promise I won't try to escape." "Aye, you would. I give you my word." With a graceful flick of his hands, he tossed one of the pillows from the bed. Chloe didn't have to glance down to know that he had just revealed the skiandoo she had wrapped earlier in a soft piece of plaid she'd found, then tucked beneath her pillow so she might cut herself free later. "I was keeping it safe. I didn't know where else to put it." She batted her lashes. Oh, here we go with the maidenhead thing again. The McKelters liked the maidenhead. "No words or promise or even desire binds a woman. Bonds bind a woman." He scooped up both blade and plaid, crossed the room, and tucked them in a drawer. She narrowed her eyes. "Who taught you that?" "Women. Sounds to me like maybe you picked the wrong ones. What are your criteria? Do you have any criteria? He shot her a dark look. Oi, that they'll have me. Blinking, she let him tie her. The man could have any woman. There was a very dangerous moment when he fastened her second wrist. A long, pregnant pause where they simply stared at each other. She wanted him, ached for him, and the intensity of it terrified her. She hardly knew the man, and what she did know about him was anything but reassuring. As he closed the door, he said over one shoulder, "Because you're a good lass, and I'm not a good man." It took her a moment to understand what he was talking about. Then she realized he'd finally answered her question, why she was not for him. Take a shot every time a maidenhead is broken. Y'all gonna make me an alcoholic again. Shit. These series, yeah. Shot. Self-control. Very hard learned. Beaten into you. Especially when you're fucking defiant as fuck as like I am. When the universe beats your ass, you know you're in trouble. So. And I'd do it again. Probably would. So 6. Chapter 6. I'm not a good man. 'Twas the only real warning she would ever get from him on her sweet, inevitable fall from grace. Diaga sipped his whiskey and stared at her. That kiss, that one mere sip of a kiss, still lay upon his tongue. Honey sweet, and no amount of whiskey could wash it off. Oh, fuck yes. If that's not descriptive as fuck. Nothing oil and nipple clamps can't distract from. He'd scarce begun to taste her when she'd stopped him, and stopping had damn near killed him. His tongue in her mouth, his hands in her hair. For a brief moment he'd been filled with icy rage, pure and black, something that refused to be denied. The ancient ones had stirred, demanding he sate his hunger. Force her, a dark voice had purred. You can make her like it. He waged a dread battle against them, hence the carefulness in which he pulled away. That blackness was not him, would not be him. He would not permit it, and it could too easily consume him. He knew he shouldn't be in the bedchamber. He wasn't in the best temper for many reasons. Not for the least of them that he'd used magic earlier, first on a brief visit to the security before she'd wakened, reminding them that they saw Chloe Xander's leaving yesterday, and later when she tried to escape, a reflexive action without thought. The interior deadbolt had been locked for a change, and she'd unlocked it, and he jammed it with a whispered word before she could open it. Then, pressed close to her, with blades betwixt them, and a bit of blood on his skin, and the darkness rising, he'd made clear the cost of her escape, his life. Wagering she'd back down swiftly, a perverse part of him daring her to end his dishonor at the end of his own sword. Either way, he'd have more peace. She'd accept his blade and stayed. She didn't keen the full significance of that. When a druid offered his favored weapon, his selvar, the one he wore against his skin, to a woman, he offered his protection, his guardianship, forever. and she'd taken it. She was sleeping on her back, the only way that she could, and with her wrists restrained, though he'd left considerable play in the bonds, her lovely breasts rose and fell with gentle, slow breaths of deep slumber. He should let her go, and he knew he wasn't going to. He wanted Chloe Xanders in ways that he never wanted a lass before. She made him feel like a sapling lad, wanting to impress her with masculine feats of prowess, protect her, sate her every desire, to be the focus of her shiny, bright heart, so full of innocence, as if she might somehow wash him clean again. She was curiosity and wonder. He was cynicism and despair. She was bursting with dreams. He was carved out and hollow inside. Her heart was young and true. His was iced with disillusion, scarce beating enough to keep him alive. She was all that he'd dreamed of once long ago, the kind of lass whom he'd have given binding druid vows, pledging his life to forever. Smart, the woman spoke 4 languages that he knew of. Tenacious, determined, logical in a circuitous way. Real, believing in things. Protective of the old ways, that was evident each time that she watched him turn a page. Twice she'd handed him a tissue to do it with when he'd forgotten, lest he get the oil of his skin on the precious pages. I mean, if you got oil on your hands, I don't think you should be handling a book anyways. I think you should be handling other things. But either way, here's a tissue. And he could sense in her a woman that wanted to break out. A woman who lived a quiet life, a respectable life, but hungered for more. He could sense with an unerring instincts of a sexual predator that Chloe was wanton at heart. That the man she chose to grant liberties to would be granted them unconditionally. Sexually aggressive, dominant to the bone, he recognized in her his perfect bedmate. He was a man who could offer no promises, no reassurances, a man with a terrible darkness growing inside of him, and all he can think was, when he took her, he would strip the clothing from her body, bearing every inch of her to his immense hunger. He would stretch himself atop her, forearms flushed to the bed on either side of her head, pinning her long hair beneath his weight. He would kiss her. He was kissing her, and she drowned in that heat, the sensuality of the man. Her hands tied to the bedpost, her body naked, she was lying in his bed on fire. His for the taking. He didn't just kiss, he claimed ownership. Took her mouth with urgency, as if life depended on his kissing her. Licked and nipped and tasted, sucking her lower lip, catching it with his teeth. His hands were on her breasts, and her skin ached with need where he touched. He kissed her long and deep and slow, then kissed her hard and punishing and fast. Like a fine china, delicate china. When he would punish her with hard kisses for being so perfect, for being everything that he didn't deserve, for the wonder she still had, for the wonder she made him remember once feeling. Being a man, he would have to know that she needed him, so he would kiss every inch of her silken skin, dragging his tongue over the peaks of her nipples, rasping them with his unshaven jaw, till they butted hard and tight for him. Teeth nipping when he would move those kisses to the sweet feminine heat between her legs, where he would taste that taut, aching bud. Slow, long strokes of his tongue there, ever so delicate nips. Then more strong strokes, faster and faster, until she writhed beneath him. But still, she wouldn't be wild enough for him. So he would slip his fingers inside of her, find that spot, one of several special ones that drove a woman wild, feel her tighten convulsively around him, feel her hunger, then withdraw and taste her with his tongue again, lapping, lapping, drowning in the sweet taste of her. Then 2 fingers, then his tongue, until she... Honestly, working out where your hands will be during a seduction is one of the more complex things to think about. True. Please, Chloe cried, arching her back, arching up and up, begging for his touch. Diagus loomed above her, his hard body gilded by firelight, a sheen of sweat glistening on his skin. What do you want, Chloe? His glittering gaze challenged her, daring her to want, dared her to speak of those things that she had never said aloud, secret fantasies she'd sheltered in her woman's heart, fantasies she knew he'd only be too willing to fulfill, one and all. Please, she cried, not knowing how to put it into words. Everything. His nostrils flared, and he inhaled sharply, and she suddenly wondered if she'd said something far more dangerous than she knew. Everything, he purred. Everything I might want. Everything I might dream of doing to you. Do you mean to gift me your innocence without condition? A heartbeat passed, then 2. Would say that she needed him, was willing to languish everything. He would turn his years of mastery, all those years he'd made heated love with a cold heart to women who had wanted nothing from him but his body. To Chloe's lush curves, the backs of her knees, the inside of her thighs, laving every inch with his tongue. He would untie her, roll her onto her stomach, stretch her hands above her head, catch them in one of his, nipping the nape of her neck. He would drag his tongue down her spine, lavishing attention on his favorite spots. The slender, delicate arch where a woman's back met her bottom, then kiss every inch of her sweet ass. Kneeling above her, straddling her, he would nudge her soft curves with his hard cock. Feel her buck up and back. Diagus, Chloe cried. He was behind her, hot and silky and hard against her bottom, and she felt so damned empty inside that it hurt. What less? Make love to me, she gasped. Do I stand in front and ask you to clasp your hands together, and then with my left hand take your hands and raise them above your head and slightly back? As I hold your hands there, how do I step behind you and pull you back off balance to lean against my chest? With my right hand now, do I freely reach forward to caress your breasts or run it across your neck and down your back to your ass? And once there, around your hips, forward and then down to touch you where your maiden head beckons to be. See, she's right. You never know. You might be able to write romance novels for the more open-minded side of people. Why? He stretched flat atop her, skin to skin from her head to toes, his palms to the back of her hands, pressing them against the bed, letting her feel the full weight of him, making it hard for her to breathe. He nudged her thighs apart with one knee. He thrust his hips, pushing against her but not inside of her, deliberately teasing her. I want you. Want is not enough. You must feel like you can't breathe without me inside you. Do you need me? No matter the cost. Though I've warned you, I'm not a good man. Yes. God, yes. Say it. I need you. Say my name. Diagus. Chloe snapped awake with a violent start, sweating and breathing hard and so intensely aroused that she hurt from head to toe. Whoa, what? She trailed off, remembering the dream. Oh, God, she thought, appalled. Shaking her head, she suddenly realized that she wasn't alone. He was in the room with her, sitting not 2 feet away from her in a chair beside the bed, watching her with those glittering tiger eyes. Their gazes collided, and she had the most awful feeling that he somehow knew that she'd been dreaming of him. In his smoldering gaze was a strange satisfaction. I really do believe that there is a unknown connection between two people in a way that you can communicate without even talking. Sexy as fuck, right? Hell yes, it is. This shit's awesome. I like this book better than the first one. I mean, the first one was awesome too. This one just gets right to the point. Like, you know what I mean? Like, 20 pages of, like, ridiculousness. Well, I guess there kind of is, but. I'll be honest. I, like, have always hated my name. And I only allowed certain people to say my name. And I never allowed a partner to say my name. Except for one. And I asked him, I didn't ask him. He said it. And it was like fucking heaven. And now I like want him to say my name. Like I'm like craving it. It's weird. Einstein's dad yammering about maidenheads for 3 chapters put me off. Yeah. She really got into, like, the first book was like too much science stuff. It was like she was trying to like impress her readers with like an in-depth scientific thought process that, like, I get it, but yeah, for a book, it was like, I felt like I was reading like a science novel for a little while. Like, I was like, am I reading a romance novel or is this a science novel? Like, what am I doing here? I mean, I understand, like, the reasoning behind it was trying to explain. It was just a little too much. I like this one better. Like, I liked that one because it was like, I don't know, I guess this one's kind of really similar to it in a sense. Like, the connection between the two of them. Is your name Hermione? Her, oh my, nee. That's so horrible and funny at the same time. Did you see the fucking Harry Potter porn? There's like I forget what it was. It was like pictures or something. Maybe it was a drawing. But it was like it was Hermione in her like uniform and then what Hermione wears under her uniform at the school. Not the porn, but the ship fan fiction with Snape is depraved. Okay, I missed that one. So, oh, goodness. Their gazes collided, and she had the most awful feeling that he somehow knew that she had been dreaming of him, and his smoldering gaze was a strange satisfaction. A hot flush suffused her from head to toe. She glanced frantically down. Oh, God. Thank God. She was fully clothed. Still, it had been but a dream. He couldn't possibly know. She tugged the covers up to her chin. The air in the room was positively frigid. Snake goes full on with half the female cast of characters, and then there was McGonagall being Fred's first. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So, you sounded restless, he purred. His voice was dark and shadowy. He purred, his voice dark as the shadowy room. I came to check on you and thought I'd sit by till you calmed. I'm calm now, she lied blatantly. Her heart was hammering and she turned away so she wouldn't betray something in her eyes. She sneaked a quick peek at him. Beautiful man, sitting half gilded by the dying firelight. One side of his face golden, the other in shadows. She was nearly panting, bit her lip to quiet herself. Then should I go? You should go. You do not need anything, Cloilas. Just for you to let me go, she said stiffly. Never, Diagus thought, pulling the door firmly closed. When she'd awakened, he'd been stunned to realize that somehow his thoughts, the painfully intense seduction he'd been imagining, had crept into her dreams. Power. There was only power inside him, and he dare not forget that. Somehow the power he made her share his fantasy. A dangerous thing. Apparently he used magic yet again without even realizing it. A muscle leaped in his jaw. 'Twas getting damn hard to see where the Ancient Ones began and he ended. Night Patrol. Severus Snape hated Night Patrol. There was nothing he loathed more than stalking through the drafty corridors and shifting staircases of Hogwarts. I don't even know what that means. I didn't get into the Harry Potter things. I just thought it was funny that he said something like that. So I have no idea who you're talking about. Like half the character, I don't know any of the characters, and I don't even think I watched all the movies. I definitely didn't read the books. Only reason why I know any of the names vaguely is because my daughter is like super into it. Monster Jam. Hey, 541 Prime Time. Sup? How are y'all? Did you have a good game, Monster Jam? Hope y'all had a good game. You guys look like you were doing pretty good at first. I don't know. He had work yet to do this eve, he reminded himself, shaking himself sharply, resisting the darkness that stretched and flexed within him. the darkness that tried to convince him he was a god, and aught he wished he would do. Tugging on his boots and donning his coat, he cast a last glance in the direction of the bedchamber before he slipped from the penthouse. She was securely bound. He would never know he was gone. It would be but for a few hours. Before he left, he turned the thermostat up. It was cold in the penthouse. They was cheating? How you cheat in a game like that? I guess there's ways. I tell you what, people who cheat, they find a way. They always find a way. It's sad, really. And I talk down upon cheaters now because I was one at one point in time. All it does is ruin your life, no matter what you do. Actually ruins everybody's life. Chapter 7. He had to use magic again. The fifth fiada, the druid spell that made the user difficult for the human eye to see. And by the time Dagus returned into the penthouse, he was too tightly strung up to sleep. He'd not known such a spell existed before the Dark Ones had claimed him that fateful eve. Now their knowledge was his knowledge, and although he tried to pretend he was unaware of the full extent of his power within him, sometimes when he was doing something, he'd suddenly know a spell to make it easier, as if he'd known it his whole life. Some of the spells he now simply knew were horrific. The ancient ones within him had been judge, jury, and executioner on many occasions. It was getting dangerous. He was growing more detached, perched at the edge of the abyss. The abyss was looking back with feral crimson eyes. He needed a woman's body, a woman's tender touch, a woman's desire to make him feel like a man, not a beast. He could go to Catherine. It wouldn't matter the hour. She would welcome him with open arms, and he could lose himself in her, shove her ankles above her head, and drive himself into her until he felt human again. He didn't want Catherine. He wanted the woman upstairs in his bed. He could all too easily see himself taking the stairs 3 at a time, stripping as he went, stretching atop her helpless, tied form, teasing her until she was animal with need, until she begged him to take her. He knew he could make her give herself to him. Oh, maybe she'd not be willing at first, but he knew ways of touching that could drive a woman wild. His breathing was ragged. He was headed for the stairs, tugging his sweater over his head, when he caught himself. Deep breaths. Focus, Kelter. If he went to her now, he would hurt her. He was too raw, too hungry. Gritting his teeth, he yanked his sweater back on and whirled about, stared slightlessly out of the window for a time. 2 more times he caught himself heading up the stairs. 2 more times he forced himself back down. He dropped to the floor and did push-ups until his body ran with sweat, then crunches and more push-ups. He recited bits of history, counted backwards in Latin, then Greek, then in more obscure, difficult languages. Eventually, he regained control, or as much control as he was going to get without sex. She was going to shower today, he decided, suddenly chafed by her lack of faith in him. If he had to lock her in the bathroom all day. Bet you need to wash up. As if he might break in on her as she was in the shower. He just proved that he was in control. Verily, he was all about control where she was concerned. Had she any idea that what he was battling and how difficult it had been thus far, yet he'd prevailed, then she'd shower. Ha! Then she'd like as not fling herself from my terrace 43 floors up merely to escape me, he thought, getting up and propping one of the terrace doors slightly ajar. He stared out over the quiet city, as quiet as Manhattan ever got, still humming, even at 4 in the morning. I'm going to pause on that. Manhattan on 9/11 was nothing but silence and screams. I'd never heard a city that never sleeps so quiet. And sirens. Sirens, silence, and screams. And I know you can say that sirens and silence and screaming don't all go in the same, but if you were there, you'd understand what I'm saying. You could feel the thickness in the air. Whatever was there, you could feel it everywhere. You could breathe it in. And I'll never forget it. Watching the people swim across the Hudson River to try to get away from the island, while boats are going back and forth trying to bring people from the island to the Jersey side. I'll never forget it. That just triggered me for a second. Yeah. There's no movie in this world that could ever portray that day to its fullest extent. Fickle March weather. The climb had been fluctuating for days, rising and dropping as much as 30 degrees in a few hours. Now it was temperature again, but the light rain could well turn to snow by mid-morning. Spring was trying to beat back winter and failing, rather mirroring his bleak internal landscape. Blowing out a gusty breath, he sat down to immerse himself in the third book of Menananon. His final tomb, then he would go. Not on the morrow, but the next day. He'd done all he could here. He doubted what he wanted was in the tomb anyway. There'd once been 5 books of Menananon, but there was only 3 that were extant. He'd already read the first 2. They'd dealt with the legends of Ireland's gods before the arrival of Tuatha Dé Danann. The 3rd volume continued the tales of the gods and their encounters with the first wave of the settlers to invade in Ireland. As slowly as the historical timeline was moving, Digas suspected the arrival of the race of creatures he was interested in. It would not be addressed until the 5th volume, which no longer existed except mayhap in one place, the Kelter Library. Whether he liked it or not, he was going to have to go home, face his brother so he could search the Kelter collection. He'd wasted many months trying to find a solution on his own. The time was running out. If he waited much longer, well, he'd dare not wait longer. And what of the lass? His honor aroused. He was too weary to bother lying to himself. Mine. He would endeavor to seduce her with her own desires first, making it easier for her. But should she resist, one way or another, she was going with him. Chloe stood in the hot spray of 7 jetting shower heads, 3 on each side and 1 above. Sighing with pleasure, she'd been feeling like a poster child for grunge. The door was locked and the chair Diacus had brought to her propped beneath the handle was propped snugly beneath the handle. After dreaming about him and waking in the middle of the night to find him watching her with virtually the same look he'd worn in the dream, she'd hardly been able to meet his gaze when he untied her this morning. Just thinking about the dream made her feel flushed and shaky. "I'm not a good man," he said. He was right. He wasn't. He was a man who lived by his own rules. He stole other people's personal property, though he insisted he was borrowing, and oddly left more valuable items. He held her captive, though he cooked scrumptious meals, and frankly she'd agreed to cooperate for a bribe. Criminal at worst, at best he existed on the fringes of civilized society. Then again, since she'd accepted his bribe, she supposed she was on the fringes now too. Still, she mused, a truly bad man wouldn't bother warning a woman that he wasn't a good man. A truly bad man wouldn't stop kissing a woman if she said stop. What an enigma he was. And so strangely charismatic. Though his penthouse was modern, his demeanor was distinctly old world. His speech was also modern, yet he lapsed at times into infrequent curious formality, splashed with old Gaelic colloquialisms. There was something more to him than she was seeing. She could feel it dancing just at the edge of her comprehension. But no matter how hard she tried, she couldn't bring it into focus. And there was definitely something about his eyes. She might not be as worldly as the New York woman, but she wasn't completely naive. She could feel danger in him. A woman would have to be dead not to. It dripped from him as liberally as testosterone oozed from his pores. Still, he tempered it with discipline and restraint. He had her at his complete mercy, and he'd not taken advantage of it. She shook her head. Maybe for him, she thought, as easily as women may fall for him, it was the chase he enjoyed most. Well, she thought, bristling, he could chase all he wanted. She might be on the fringes, but that didn't mean that she was just going to end up and fall in bed with him. No matter how much she might secretly long to be initiated into the exotic, erotic, mysterious Digus McKelter Club. Salient word there being club, as in lots of members. Get out of the way. With that resolve, she shampooed her hair twice. She'd never gone without a shower for 2 days straight before. Stood under the pulsing spray until she felt squeaky clean, and then a bit longer. Those massaging shower heads were to die for. Wrapping herself in a luxurious towel, she dislodged the chair and unlocked the door. When she opened it, she gaped. Half her wardrobe was piled neatly on the bed. She blinked. Yep, there it was, in tidy piles. Panties, and those were staying firmly on her butt. Bras, dresses, sweaters, jeans, lacy little nighties, socks, boots, and shoes, and the works. They were stacked in outfit piles, she noted, bemused. He'd not just grabbed clothing, but had matched things together as if envisioning her wearing them. Ooh, I like that. I love that. I'll do that for my man too. Like, I will specifically pick something and be like, hey, you know, I don't want you to wear this. I used to buy my ex watches and just show up with them. Or just randomly just have them somewhere where he can find them. I enjoy that stuff. He had a thing for watches, I guess. He'd even brought some of her books, she noticed, wandering over to the bed. 3 romance novels, the dastardly man. Scottish romance novels. What had he done? Poke through all her stuff while he was there? Right atop The Highlander's Touch. One of her favorite novels about an immortal Highlander. So actually, I found out that there is more than just 3 books. There's like an entire series. Where is it? So the Highlander series is Beyond the Highland Mist, To Tame a Highland Warrior, The Highlander's Touch, Kiss of the Highlander, which we read, The Dark Highlander, which we're reading right now, The Immortal Highlander, and Spell of the Highlander. So there's 7 books. You like watches? I specifically tailor my gifts to things that they like. or that they speak on. I think that makes it a little bit more personal, than just going out and buying whatever. Like things that I would like to see, or like if you look forward to something later. You know what I'm saying? Oh, then I like crystals. Shiny rocks. Shiny rocks. I think all women like crystals of some sort. I used to like collect rocks when I was a kid. If I was find a rock that I liked, I would pick it up and I'd bring it home, and then I would write on it the memory that I had that it was associated to it. Like if we would go on trips and stuff like that, I would find something while we were out and about and I'd bring it home. Like quartz. Oh, I'm surrounded by quartz right now. Not even joking. I could go out in the driveway right now and pick up a big rock of quartz. North Carolina is like fucking riddled with them, and they are very highly like lightning attractors. Yeah, this property gets hit by lightning. I don't even know how many times. This tree out here, the big one that I was in during the day I did a video. Well, I was supposed to do a video of me cutting up a tree, but my chainsaw wasn't ready yet. So, this tree out here has been hit. I don't even know how many times. One time I was in the bathroom and it got hit and it blew the fucking telephone off the wall. Back when they had telephones on the wall. Quartz. You have to walk into the mountain. My ex was over 6 foot tall, and he had to like duck down the whole tour, and he hated it. I'm just walking just fine. I'm 5'4". It's in the Blue Ridge Parkway. I want to say it's like some cavern thing. I don't know, but it's a guided tour, and they show you all of like the different types of rocks that are underneath the ground, and then in Hidden Night, there is a gem mining place that people have found like $1 million fucking stones at. This whole area up through here is all riddled full of just amazing rocks. There's a guy that was, I think he was in Hidden Night or Valdez or something. Yard for something. And he found like this fucking like $10 million emerald in his yard. As a kid. Linville Caverns. Yeah, I've been there. It's really nice. It's a neat thing to do, but you definitely want to wear warm clothes because it's really cold in there no matter what time of year it is. She snorted. The man was incorrigible, bringing her steamy, sexy things to read, as if she needed any help thinking steamy thoughts around him. She could hear him downstairs, talking quietly on the phone. She could smell the scent of fresh brewed coffee, and though she knew she'd been offended that he'd broken into her apartment and rummaged through her drawers, he'd put much thought into his selections, and she was oddly charmed. He hardly spoke to her all day. He was in a downright brooding mood, controlled and remote, perfectly polite, perfectly disciplined, utterly self-contained. His eyes were strange again, and she wondered if maybe they took on varying hues under different lighting, like hazel sometimes went from greenish blue to greenish brown. Not amber. They were a dull shade of copper just before it blackened. She'd perched on the counter and watched him cook breakfast. Kippers, tatties, toast, and porridge with cream and blueberries, eyeing him while his back was to her. For the first time, she'd noticed his hair. She'd known it was long, but she didn't realize how long because he wore it pulled back. But now that she was behind him, she could see that he'd folded it up several times before binding it in a leather wrap. She decided it must fall to his waist when it was free. She thought of his sleek black hair sweeping his naked, muscled back drove her crazy. She wondered if he ever wore it down. It seemed so in keeping with his character that it would be long and wild, but meticulously restrained unless he chose to free it. She tried to make small talk, but he didn't rise to any of the bait she cast. Fishing, frying to pick his brain, trying, getting nothing, but grunts and incoherent murmurs. They sat together in silence for hours that afternoon, with Chloe delicately turning the pages of the mid-codex with tissues, sneaking peeks at Diogenes while he worked with the Book of Menon, scribbling notes as he translated. At 5 o'clock, she got up and turned the news on, wondering if there might be some small mention of her disappearance. As if, she thought wryly, one little girl gone missing in the wormy Big Apple. Both police and newscasts had better things to do. He looked at her, then a hint of smudgeness playing about his lips. She arched a questioning brow, and he said nothing. She listened absently while he read. Then suddenly her attention was riveted to the screen. The ghoulish ghosts struck again last night, or so police believe. Baffled might be the best way to describe New York's finest, but at an unknown time, early this morning, all the artifacts previously stolen by the ghoulish ghost were left at the front desk of the police station. Once again, no one saw a thing, which makes one wonder just what our police. There was more, but Chloe didn't hear it. She glanced down at the text he was holding, then at him. I bored her for that one, Les. You really did it, she breathed, shaking her head. When you went to my appointment for my things, you took them back. I don't believe it. I told you I was merely borrowing them. She stared at him, utterly flummoxed. He'd done it. He'd returned them. A sudden thought occurred to her, one she didn't much care for. That means you're leaving soon, doesn't it? He nodded, his expression unfathomable. Oh. She pretended a hasty fascination with her cuticles to conceal the disappointment that flooded her. Hence she missed the cool, satisfying curve of his lips, a touch too feral to be called a smile. Outside Diogenes McKelter's penthouse, on a sidewalk crammed with people rushing to escape the city at the end of a long work week, one man wove his way through the crowd and joined a second man. They moved discreetly aside, loitering near the newsstand. Though clad in expensive dark suits, short hair and nondescript features, both were marked by unusual tattoos on their necks. The upper part of the winged serpent arched above the crisp collar and tie. He's up there, with the woman, Giles said softly. He'd just come down from rented rooms in the building on the opposite corner, where he'd been watching through the binoculars. The plan? His companion, Trevor, inquired softly. We wait until he leaves. With luck, he'll leave her there. Our orders are to get him on the run, force him back to rely upon magic to survive. Simon wants him back overseas. How? We'll make him a fugitive. Hunted. The woman makes things simpler than I'd hope. I'll slip in, take care of her, alert the police, anonymously, of course, and make his penthouse a stage for a cold-blooded, gruesome murder. Set all the cops in the city after him. He'll be forced to use his powers to escape. Simon believes he won't permit himself to be imprisoned. Though, if he were, that might work to our advantage as well. I have no doubt time in a federal prison would hasten the transformation. Trevor nodded. And I? You wait here. Too risky for both of us to go up. He's not to know we exist yet. If anything goes awry, ring Simon immediately. Trevor nodded again, and they drifted apart, to settle back and wait. They were patient men. They'd been waiting for this moment all their lives. They were the lucky ones, those born in the hour of the prophecy's fruition. To a man, they would die to see the Drakkar live again. I used to go looking for all the waterfalls along the Blue Ridge. That and all the barbecue places. Yeah, the waterfalls on the side of the mountains where I used to live growing up. People would put food coloring on the icicles in the wintertime. As they were, the water was trickling down the side of the mountain, it would freeze. So people would drip food coloring on it. And it would be colorful icicles and waterfalls. And there was a thing every single year that people would do. There was a huge dam that would ice over, and they would pour food coloring all over it, all through the wintertime. And it was just like a rainbow of holographic almost layers of color. Yeah, it was awesome. And there was this one hotel that I remember. They would place bets. When the lake would freeze over, they would put a wooden statue out on the lake, and they would place bets as to when the statue would finally fall into the lake. And I'm talking thousands of dollars would be the winner. You know what I'm saying? So whoever bet on the day, they had to split up whatever the winnings was, but you had to put a certain amount down for the betting. And once the wooden statue fell into the lake, whatever day it was, that the group of people would split up the winnings. And there was it was an annual thing. People would come out there. I thought that was pretty cool. I never got to go to that hotel, though. I just always heard about it. My parents would talk about it all the time. That's a cool idea. Yeah, I love the waterfalls, though. The waterfalls were so awesome. I still, even when I go up to the Blue Ridge in the wintertime, I go and look for the waterfalls. Even if they're frozen. My little lantern makes me feel cozy. It looked like there was a hair sitting on top of it. I was like, ugh. I shed worse than a damn dog. And my hair gets in everything. There's no doubt in my mind ever that you know where I have been. Because my hair is everywhere. Oh, what time is it? 12 o'clock. Been streaming for 2.5 hours. How much further is the next chapter? Oh, it's pages away. Shit. Oh, this is a thick one. Oh my god. Yeah, chapter 8 is 12 pages away. I think I'll stop at that note. Oh, did I show you this? I don't remember if I showed you this or not. I drew and painted that. I don't know. Every time I look at it, I think of a cabin in the mountains somewhere or something. So what do you think is going to happen? You think those guys are going to go up there and get their asses beat by, it's hot in there. Well, that's a thick one. Eve 2021. I wish. Real's best. I mean, anybody can get a toy, but Real's better. It's not the size, it's the man behind it. Learn that. My exes have been all sizes. Yeah, you did very nice. Reminds me of artwork for Joey Pera Talks You to Sleep. Look on YouTube. Nice. Oh, I didn't even see that. Hold on. You need a nice scalp massage? I mean, I wouldn't deny it. I'd sleep like a damn baby. If you want to ever put me into a fucking sleep coma without having sex, that's one way to do it. The first one that shows up has artwork like yours. Oh, okay. That's pretty cool. When I sit down and actually get into it, I can draw pretty well. But like if I'm not in it, it ain't gonna happen. The same thing with cooking. Same thing with anything. If I don't feel like doing it, it's just gonna be like the laziest fucking example of like just whatever. Just to do it. I can't remember what the style is called, but well done. I don't know either. I just drew it one day. I actually, when I first moved to North Carolina, I used to sell my artwork to a tattoo shop. It was $150 for like, it was like a little bit bigger than an index card. I think it was $150. Don't quote me on that one. It was a lot of money because I needed it. I mean, I don't know a time when I ever didn't need money. I keep leaning on my arm and it's like going numb. I'm like pinching a nerve or something and it hurts. So people are walking around with your art on them? Most likely. It was 21 years ago. Shit, I don't know. If you ever see a dude walking around with a naked fucking alien chick giving a blowjob to another alien dude, then yeah, probably. Naked alien chicks was like my thing back in the day. Also, nude fucking princesses. This was before it got really big. I was very surprised. I should have like framed my shit. Karma whispers, that's how you will know him. What? What? My third inner ear is not fully understanding the concept of that statement, monsieur. Karma whispers, that's how you know him. Imagine you meet a dude and he has one of your tattoos. Oh, okay. I was thinking along those lines and I was like, I don't know. I mean, that'd be cool, but I'm not worried about it entirely. It would kind of like be a little weird. I don't know. The thing that gets me is like, you know, when people say like, oh, when you meet the one, you get the sizzle. You know what I'm saying? I don't really sizzle. Like I kind of like bubble, like simmer for like a lot of different types of guys. Like I really want to see those drawings of yours now. They're in storage. I can go get them. Yeah, I can go get them. Not right now, but you know what I mean. Topic for a new stream. I was tempted because I'm doing the inmate Christmas card project, and you have to hand draw them in pencil. I don't know if you can see, but yeah. Let me show you a couple real quick. I don't know if I showed you these yet. Let me get you a good one. Hold on. This is one of my daughters. I thought that was kind of cute. The penguin. I did one that was like almost like a Thomas Kincaid looking thing. It was pretty cool. I just did this today. I don't know if you can see it. It's kind of like light. You can barely see it, but yeah. I drew that. I'm not done with it yet, but I mean, it's all right for a starter. I did that one too. I like this one. This one's like my favorite. I don't know if you can see it. My hands are so damn shaky. I was on the stream. You and your daughter made them. Yeah, that was the paper ones that we did. I mean, they're all paper, but like this lined paper ones. Here was another one that I kind of liked too. It was kind of cute. It's really light though. It's like the water. It's like a lake with the Christmas tree in the background. I don't know if you can really see it that well. And I like this one too. I just liked how the top came out. Like, oh. Yep, I made those today. Ooh. This one though I didn't like. I was trying to draw a fucking pine cone, and then I got to thinking about it that this is going to a prison. I don't know if it's such a great idea. It looked like a fucking pine cone. So yeah. Let's see what else we got. Tomorrow is the first day of Hanukkah. I think. It's either tomorrow or Monday. Yeah, because today's Saturday. I thought. Oh, I did this one too. Today. I don't know if you can see it. Gosh, it's like so light in this lighting. I think the lights are too bright. Make one with Dawson Dash and spell out Merry Christmas in Morse code. I was actually okay, so it's funny that you said that. A while back I was like trying to send a message to him. You know what I'm talking about. in Morse code because he would have been the only one that would have been able to read it. I actually like looked up Morse code and like tried to send a message to him in Morse code. Nobody else would have even, it was a text. So no one would have, they would have just assumed that it was just a bunch of like, or like a butt dial or something like that. Like a bunch of dots and dashes. I thought that was so cool. Little stupid shit like that, like, is so intimate, I think. I like secret messages sometimes. Like, if I can figure them out. If I can't figure them out, I still want you to tell me. But back in the day, and this is why witches had brooms. And they would gift brooms to other witches. Because they would take pieces of parchment and wrap it around the handle. Then write letters down the fucking handle. And then take the parchment and then write symbols and letters and numbers. And no one could read it. Only the two witches knew to wrap it back around the broom to read the message. And you would read it going down the broom. Yeah. I'll show you what I'm talking about if you don't understand what I'm saying. I'll go get the broom and get a piece of paper and I'll show you if you want. And there's an old adage that you don't use an indoor broom and an outdoor broom. Like, you don't use the same broom for both sides. And you don't take the broom with you. You leave the broom and mop and everything that you use to clean the house, so you don't take the same problems with you to the next location. I used to write in circles. My girlfriend hated it when I would write her a letter. She'd be like, don't fucking do this shit again. I would start in the center of a piece of paper, and I would write in a spiral, going all the way around. Instead of writing, like regular, I would go around in circles around the whole fucking page. No. It's a brand new broom. Gifting a broom to another witch was like a way of communication. It was like a blessing almost. Only between witches. Because back then, like, if you communicated like that, and it was secret messages. So it's like in that, I think there's a Bible story too, that was like, for a period of time, Christians were massacred. And the only way two Christians would be able to communicate with each other was to draw the fish in the sand. You would draw one line and the other person would finish the fish. I imagine that you are saying too much and the Witches Guild will be visiting you. Okay, first of all, you can Google it. So, anyway. It's like coding. Look at how cold I am. My nose is like... my color changing Eve. I do know of a coven near Asheville. I don't doubt it. They're all over Piedmont. They're all over the Piedmont. I mean, don't quote me on most of this stuff. This is just things that I know, and I could be wrong. Don't ever quote me on anything, especially when it says, "Well, that's a thick one," because I don't know. Whichever direction that it's in, because my camera is backwards. This is my left shoulder, so my camera is flipped and I can't figure out how to fix it. This is my right side. And it fucks with me because, like, whenever I'm trying to, like, do something in the, like, if I try to hold up something in the camera, I would think to go that way or this way to make it, like, on this side of me instead of right above this little box thing. To me, this box is on my right side. So I would think, like, I could put it like this and be fine, but I can't. I gotta go this way. But then I'm just like, ah. Only reason why I know about that is a friend of mine was camping and witnessed a riot and was included later. I mean, some of that stuff can get really interesting. There's I think it was this weekend. Something Yule. It's either this weekend or next weekend. There's a Yule burning. I said it early. 10 a.m. 10 a.m. I talked about it. It's an overnight event. And they burn the Yule log and they, give gifts and then they talk about, like, they have a meeting and they choose. Yeah, Yule burning. You ever hear of a Yule log? It's included in, like, Christian, like, statements now too, I believe. It's basically like a big fucking bonfire. Everybody gets together. They eat supper. They exchange gifts. It's pretty cool. But they talk about, like, a whole bunch of stuff. And then, like, for the committee, they end up choosing, like, new committee members and stuff like that. It's a big event. I don't know. That's what I read. So I thought it'd be pretty cool. I want to go to it. It's on Facebook. I mean, I don't even remember where it was at. But it's on Facebook events for North Carolina. Look it up. It's either this weekend or next weekend. It's either December 4th or December 10th, I think. Hi, Frank. About time you got here. Howdy, howdy. Y'all keep me up late. So we got to, like, some ridiculous amount of chapters in the book, and the damn book fell apart, Frank. Oh my goodness. I'm getting ready to kick off here in about 15 minutes. Not even. 12:30, yeah. So, like, 4 minutes, really. I'm abusing that book. Not yet. Oh, you missed it. It was good. It was good. You're going to have to go back and watch the rest of the stream. The sultry librarian persona needs to spank you on screen for the treatment of that. Bad. Harder. Gotta cut from on the bottom. You can't smack down from the top because that shit hurts. Like, not even in, like, a pleasurable way. If you go up from the bottom, like, get me up off of the ground. Like, whoopah, shit. Make it jiggle. when you swat my ass, I better gain some height. I don't think I've ever heard that from an overhand slap. Yeah. I don't like it from up top. Because then you're like hitting my hips and shit. That fucking hurts. Not like good hurt either. If you get that like nice little, you know what I'm saying, where the butt jiggles up and down a little bit, and you like get some height off of the ground, or you know what I mean? Like if she's standing and you like swat her ass from up underneath, yeah, I don't give a fuck who that is. They're gonna love that shit. Even the Me Too generation. They're gonna lie and act all offended. You know you liked it. Oh, that's so low blow. Wet hand smack, damn it. And leave a fucking imprint. I don't know, I've never really been one for like the rough stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like where it's like so red that it hurts to even touch it. I don't want to be hurting like that the next day. Like I want to enjoy it. You know what I mean? It's just the same thing as like with alcohol. If it's so strong that you don't have any flavor to it, but it's just alcohol, there's no, like, I don't know. I want it to have like a flavor, like in the book where he's talking about like, you know, the flavor and the texture and the taste and all that stuff. I want to experience it. I don't want to just, like, if I just want to drink, whatever, but unnecessary, but okay. Oh no, you get better contact that way for damn sure. As like instant, like, sting. Gives you that instant sting. And that sting stays. It doesn't even go away. It just stays. And a guaranteed imprint. Like, you'd probably be able to see the fucking fingerprint marks. But yeah. Well, I hate to, guys, but I am freaking exhausted. I'm going to go back to bed. Emotionally, mentally, physically exhausting week. I know y'all are like, boo. She hasn't been on here for nearly long enough. I actually went earlier and was live streaming. Glad I caught some low cut today. You're very welcome. I thought of you earlier. Yeah. I was like, today I need to throw some cleavage in there. There was an anticipation when you hold your hand out to their mouth and say spit. Wait, there's an anticipation when you hold your hand out to their mouth and say spit. I mean, to each their own. I'm not really a spitter, but either way. Spitters are quitters. Anyway, I'm just kidding. The only one I ever want spitting is him. Like Frank, I think it was Frank that said it yesterday. Was it yesterday? I don't know. All these days are like melding together. We spit on her back and turn her around and give her a surprise. That shit was so funny. Because you gonna spank them with a little spit on your hand. Like, we literally talked about this 2 minutes ago. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Ha ha ha. You missed a scene earlier, Frank, where there was a knife used. Or sword, or hand sword, or whatever you want to call it. It was nice. Shit made me hot like instantly. I was like, yes. I really need to stop bleeding on my elbows. They hurt now. Yeah, it was like a hand sword. I don't know. It's like one of those close quarters swords where it's not a long sword. It's just like a short hand sword. I don't know if there even is one of those, but it was a really big knife. How about that? Like a freaking, almost like a machete, but it's a sword. It was nice. Like the first image I got of it in my mind was something like, hold on. Like that. Hand sword. And then I have my flint. I don't think I like that. I don't get it. Which I don't know how to use this clearly. I don't know. There's a way that you use it, and I don't know how to use it. But yeah. I have my hatchet too. And it's got like a measuring tool on the, where is it? Yeah. I don't know if you can see it. Hold on. You guys are talking so fast. Hold on. A knife? I don't think I like that. Well, or you can kill them and cut their limbs up. Noted. I don't get it. For example, don't light a fire in your camper. Those are wrenches too for bolts. Why can't I light a fire? I can light a fire in here. I lit a fire in the pan earlier. Fuck it. YOLO. Oh man, I gotta message him here in a minute. If he's even still awake. Pilot Mountain is on fire right now. I don't know if it still is, but it was earlier before I started streaming. Yeah. I hope y'all stay safe if you're out that way. He's out there drinking a fucking beer watching it. Fucking burn the side of the mountain down. Don't burn down your trailer. I'm not going to burn down my trailer. Wait, what? Yeah, Pilot Mountain is on fire right now. Well, it was earlier, about 2-3 hours ago. Maybe they put it out. Who knows? But it was a wildfire. It was like half the fucking mountain. He sent me a picture. He was like, so this happened. Yeah. Google it. Oh, Pilot Mountain's on fire. I hope they get it maintained. But we've been under a weather advisory for a while now, stating that like things will catch fire very quickly. So there's a no burn right now. And like with the wildfire being the way it is, and like, I mean, it's going to catch quick and it'll spread fast. And you never know which way a wildfire is going to go. I mean, it's not like, I don't think it's like with a tornado where if it doesn't look like it's going left or right, it's coming at you. Yeah. I don't know if it's the same way with wildfires or not, but yeah, stay away from Pilot Mountain for a little while. And I hope nobody was out there fucking, I doubt it, but I hope that nobody was out there camping for the holidays. Because I think there's trails on Pilot Mountain in there. Like camping trails and hiking trails and shit. If it makes it to the base of the mountain, that will be crazy. I hope not. I hope the hell not. You can't climb to the top but around the base. It was like around a good portion of the side of the mountain. And I don't know what started it, whether it was somebody who was out there camping, started a fire, and then it caught on to everything else, or what. But it was like halfway up the mountain. So, I mean, that's really the only option that you kind of have. And there's no lightning because we have clear skies, so I don't know. And it's 37 degrees outside right now, so it's warmer than it was last night. I hate like when my throat gets all congested and like I'm still like, this is the very last like 1% left of the COVID where it's still like sinus congestion, and then you get that post-nasal drip and then it like clogs up the side of your throat. And it feels weird. Just need to suck a dick. It's all good. Just gonna clear it all out and re-sticky it up again. Either way. I was asked if I ever considered joining into the adult industry. Yeah, I've thought about it. Oral fixation. Yep. I enjoy it in all forms. All forms. I'd watch. Check out my OnlyFans. You get lots of information on there. Lots of videos, lots of pictures. I do live streaming. And it's only $10 a month. And everything's unlocked. And the live stream is free. So, I mean, what's your loss? Check out my link tree. I don't know. I like the link tree. It's got all my different social media on there, and I don't have to worry about like explaining every single last little detail about everything. Now I've got 5 viewers because I'm talking. people are like, wait, what did she just say? What? Either that or it's like the Twitch and YouTube like moderators and they're just like Facebook. Facebook is the worst for it. They will block your shit in an instant. They don't give a fuck. Oh, you smiled in a picture? Block. No rest for the wicked. Absolutely. Absolutely, love. I think next time I'll read it in British accent. I know someone who's in Australia right now, and they do modeling too, out on the beach and stuff. I mean, I'll sub to Twitch when you get it. Oh, how much? Pulse radio full lady. Hold on. How much more do I have? I mean, I've not hit 3 consistent viewers the entire time. Let me see where I'm at. Clickety, clickety, clickety. Lickety, clickety. Clickety, clickety. You're live. Manage your stream. 60 new followers. Or no, 62 new followers in the last month. Yes. Getting somewhere with my life. All right, so what am I looking for? Oh, stats. Hold on. Insight. Achievements. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, I went up 0.6, 0.1 since last stream. Hold on, I'll show you. I show you. Hey. For those who are just now joining, welcome to Eve's night stream. All right, this is how close I am. So close I am, y'all. I'm right there. That's like, okay, I'm gonna go back to this main stream. That is the biggest trigger. Wait, why is there 2? I don't know, it just glitched out. Edging it hard. If a woman says that she's about to come, usually guys will go so much. Like, it's instant, like, done. I have too many hours. I know! I was thinking about that earlier. Too many hours and not enough viewers. Any more boobs? I don't think you can get more boobs. Yes, you can. If it wasn't so fucking cold in here. I agree. I knew you were going to agree to that. Why would you disagree with that? I had to think for a second if I was wearing a bra or not. There. It just keeps folding back. There. Whatever. More boobs. There. I think night streams are better because people aren't going to be busy. True. I get more viewers on my Facebook during the day than I do on Twitch. Green screen and cleavage all around you. I would pick like the bounciest fucking anime boobs I could ever find. I promise you. You would be so distracted you wouldn't know which way to look. Because they'd all be different. Either that or like random ass picture. You know what I should do? I should get that Hooters calendar and like hang it behind me. More boobs, more boobs. Label all my streams 18 plus. I mean, there are all 18 plus, but still. Excuse me. I have great respect for anime boob artists. I have great respect for anime artists, period. That gets views. What if I came on here and I was legit wearing a bikini top? Like, Some Christmas pasties. Like the ones with the tassels, and then you can just go, wee. Christmas tassels. Tinsel. I'll hang tinsel from them. That's what I'll do. I'll make waterfall tinsel coverings. And then you won't know if my nipple will show it through or not. Go for it, social media manager said. I would have a hard time typing, that's for sure. Hey, you know, you always have your tongue. Just I am ready for Betty. Say goodbye, ladies. Bye. Anyway. Yep, I am more than ready for Betty. Me and my floofy hair. Never had a keyboard complain about my stubble. Hurry and get affiliates so I can sub. Yes, you should definitely sub to me. I think all the younger viewers that are 18 plus should sub to me immediately. I mean, I still have Cash App and stuff that you can donate to. I'm just saying. At least then there's no fucking fees. I mean, if they're going to be oogly over me, I might as well get a good use out of it, right? Venmo. I do. It's on my, I think it's on my thing, right? Hold on. Let me see if it's on my Linktree. Should be. Y'all can donate to me whenever the fuck you want to. You ain't got to go through no program. Especially since I'm not even an affiliate yet. I don't know. Do I? That way. Donations and tips. Yeah, Cash App, Venmo, Discord, and then you scroll down and you go to my OnlyFans. Donations and tips is through, I think this is through PayPal and Square. I think. So, yeah. Every dollar is greatly appreciated. Trust me, especially with fucking Christmas coming. Oh my God, this is going to be a nightmare. Like, I'm legit broke. Like, I can't even get into my bank account. My fucking bank account's locked right now. So, yeah. I got PayPal, too. I tried to sign up for as much shit as I could possibly think of. Because everybody's like, oh, I don't have that. Okay, that's good. I've got this. What do you have? You have this? Okay, great. I've got that. No just means next opportunity. Yes, I have PayPal. The only thing that I don't like about PayPal, and I've heard horror stories of this, where like all of a sudden like $10,000 will be in their bank account, and then 30 days later it's disputed, and then it like if you use any of that, you have to pay it back. I don't like that shit. That's some scam motherfucking shit, and I don't like that. I suggest 2 accounts, your normal one and one for online stuff, just for this whole problem. What whole problem? For the whole like, oh no, I won't take money out of it for 30 days. Like once it hits 31 days, then I'll take the money out. But it's got to clear that 30-day period. Which I haven't gotten any tips anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Being locked problem. I have 3 accounts. 2 of them right now have very minimal amount of money in them. And the one account that I do have some money in, that's the one that got locked. Like, I've got like $4 on the other one. And it takes so long with like holidays and processing and then the fees, and you get like, especially with OF, they take such a huge chunk of fees out of the money that you give. And that's why people charge so much, because they want to get their full amount of money. If out of every $5, there's at least $2 taken in fees for creators. Every $5, there's $3 that you get. So there's $2 for every single picture, video, anything that you ever post on there that it gets paid. Any tips that you get. Yeah, because you get feed for tips too. So, and that's why I prefer to use like an outside, like third-party payment process. I'll be honest with you. Long before OnlyFans even existed, I was selling pictures on fucking Facebook through the Messenger app. Yes, I am, baby W, honey. I'm 240 pounds of thickness. What's my OnlyFans? Check out my link tree. Hold on. I have 2 different OnlyFans, actually. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. Happy Kwanzaa. Whatever you believe in. Happy Yule. Merry Christmas, Yule lad. Eldad. Something like that. I always say it wrong. Packed into a 5'4" firecracker. Damn right. Never. Because then I'll get banned. Do I even twerk? Nope, I headbang. Even better. I only twerk in certain instances. But yes, welcome. I'm getting ready to leave. So, y'all have a wonderful evening. Make sure to be my sub. And I guess until the next time that I see y'all, which, yes, it is. Headbanging is great neck work exercise. And it's great for cheeks. Gotta get that suction in there too. And the tongue too. Yep, you gotta use your tongue. Yeah. Y'all were just like, the fuck did she just do? So I'm ambidextrous. So I use both sides of my hands independently. But my tongue is also can use on both sides. Independently. Well, not independently. If I had the fork tongue thing, oh my God, that would be so cool. I can cut my tongue like, yeah, I was just saying that. I've seen a guy on, I have extreme body modifications on my Facebook, and there was a guy with a forked tongue, and I was like, oh my fucking God, I would worship you. Here's this asshole. Oh, he didn't do it this time. I wonder if he keeps doing it. There's a guy that comes through at 7:00 in the morning every single day, and he honks at every single house as he drives by. Like, wake up, motherfuckers. I'm going to come out there with a fucking spike strip one day. Like, Saturday morning. No. My lazy ass is going to be in bed. Fuck y'all. If you got to go to work, that's your problem. Not mine. Bad as fuck. Need to be worshipped. Try on your lingerie? No, baby, I'm going to bed. If you want to check out my OnlyFans, just go on there because I have a ton of stuff on there for you. Mm-hmm. Or if you're not like wanting to pay for anything, you can check out my Fat Life. It doesn't have anywhere near as much information or like pictures, or videos or anything. But yep. And a lot of times, like, I'll wear my lingerie for the live streams. So I might do that tomorrow. It's just, it's been so cold out. Like, I don't want to wear it when it's really cold. You know? Like, tonight's not so bad. It's 40 degrees outside. Just about. It's 37 degrees. Maybe another time, Euro, okay? But I'm getting ready to go to bed, baby. Get some fleece onesies. I want like the flannel one with the little butt flap. I think that would be super cute with the little buttons and stuff. I seen them online. I was thinking about it for Christmas, but I don't know. That'd be interesting at the very least. But yeah. I'm going sleepy guys. Tight flannel with buttons. No underwear. Thigh-high socks. And a cup of cocoa. With lots of marshmallows on top. And maybe even whipped cream. You never know. You know how I am with whipped cream. If you've been on any of my social media, you know how I am with whipped cream. And some beeswax candles. I've never had that. Well, I would let you do me first. Would have. Sounds good, honey. I have some hot honey. It's spicy. It's called Mike's Hot Honey. And Frank scores! Be a sorcerer for a day. Just flick and swish. It's not Expecto Patronum, it's Expecto Patronum. Or something like that. I don't know. I didn't watch it, so I have no idea. Oh, my spine. Owie. I was going to say I have a trick for you. Yep, hot honey. No, it didn't work. Crap. I'm going to have to do it another time on a different stream now because y'all know my trick. I'm going to pretend to blow out the light. Gotta use your imagination and have fun with life, because I swear to God, if you don't, you're just gonna cry yourself to sleep every fucking night. So, Bronius Maximus. Honey's pretty hot, I think. No wonder you aren't by I can't find the button. Yep. See? Just have to pretend that there's hair around it and I'll be alright. I just showed my age again too. Oh shit. Do ASMR of that shit. People will be like, don't listen to her. Just like the nail scratching. It's good for more than one thing. The little tickle underneath. What happens if we press the button? Maybe something good, maybe something bad. You got a 50-50 shot, so one way or another, you're gonna find out, right? This dude like keeps saying that he's gonna call me and stuff, and I'm just like, whatever. I don't even want to talk to him. I'm such a bad person. I don't know. Like when you get to talking about like religion, and then it like overtakes the entire conversation the entire time that you're talking. And then if you say anything against it, it's like every single reason as to why you're wrong. It just gets old. I don't know. It gets old. And then you don't want to talk to the person anymore. And it's nothing against them. It's just like you just don't want to have that conversation anymore. And then if you try to tell them that you don't want to have that conversation anymore, it's like, oh, well, you're going to hell. Well, yeah, I fucking know that. I told you that to begin with. Like, this isn't anything new. Good girl. I mean, that's like kind of okay. I don't know. Hearing that. Not all the time, though. Just in certain instances. You used to bait street preachers in my youth. I was evil. Okay, so my mind just went to like preacher and little boy in the street. Like, was the preacher on the corner or were you on the corner? Like, I guess if you baited them, then I guess then they were on the corner. Well, no, then that would be you on the corner. Anyway. So you have a little bit more of an oral fixation than most of us know about. I'm just fucking with you. I gotta talk shit. I do shit like that too. Like, I'm a sarcastic asshole sometimes on purpose because I want to see what your reaction's gonna be and I want to see what you do with it. I don't push buttons at all. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to bed. I was joking, Daniel. I was joking. I still have love for all y'all. Daniel's like, you fucking bitch. God made everything. God is perfect. God made the angels. An angel fell, became devil. Either God isn't perfect or he created the devil, which is the dick move. The answer is only rabbits. No. Free will. Street preacher to lose their minds. Oh my God. This dude was legit like highlighting messages in the Bible, like comparatively to everything that I said. And I was like, this isn't like for you to sit here and prove to me how you're better than me. Like, I don't know. Like, I thought we were having a basic conversation, and now it's like 2 hours later and you're reading scripture to me that, like, I'd never asked you to read to me. Like, you're forcing it on me, and I hate that shit. I hate that shit. And no matter what he said, I agreed with him. And I was like, yep, and that's why I'm going to hell. Like, you're not going to get anywhere with me at all. I promise you. Like, I will sit there and have a long-ass fucking conversation with you, whether I'm right or wrong. I don't give a fuck. Like, you're never going to get any further than when we just started. If you're going to push religion on me. I'll listen to you. I'll have a basic conversation with you. But when you sit there and tell me that, like, I'm going to hell in so many fucking ways that, like, okay, I agree with you. I'm going to hell. Well, you can repent. I don't want to repent. I know where I'm going. I made a deal. The deal is binding. And I'm not going anywhere. I know where I'm going. That's why I'm enjoying my time on Earth while I still can. So. Love you, Eve. Love you too. Then to slam them, you bring up the conclave, which chose the book of the Bible for publication and start quoting Lilith. I did. He didn't like that very much. I told him there's portions of the Bible that you don't have no idea anything about. None of us do. I'll even admit it. Like, I don't even know it. And there's so much that we have no idea. This is just a basis. It's basically like, and the way I see it is a basic instruction manual and good examples of why you should and shouldn't do certain things for ethical reasons. But it's not like, I mean, I could go on for hours about this, but it's not literal. Even people who read the Bible will tell you it's not literal. It has other meanings. It's like subliminal, and it's whatever God is speaking to you at that moment in time. You know, what you actually read of the Bible is what God is speaking to you. So. And I'm not like pushing religion at all. Like, if you're a non-believer, more power to you. And there's like so many different sides that like I've learned about. Like, I've learned about the different gods and like the Greeks and stuff like that. You know, I've learned about the Wiccan side of it, like where it's either Wiccan or pagan, where they're all naturals. Like, they just worship the earth and the gods of the earth and the Fae and like I think it's the Fae. I don't know. But and then like Lilith and stuff, you know, I think that she was the first female. And then when Adam and her didn't agree, she was cast out. I mean, I could be wrong. I don't know the whole story of Lilith, but yeah. And then I think that she convinced Eve to eat the apple, which in my interpretation is to be a lesbian, basically, because she's eating the apple. I know I'm probably completely wrong. Either way, I'll have to look it up later. I enjoy the Japanese spirits and everything around us. I think the reason why she is always after the babies is because Eve and Adam never split up. They stayed together and they had children. Even after everything. And I think that's why, if I remember correctly, I don't know. I don't remember. There's so many different fucking variations of everything. And you're probably looking at me like, what? I make up shit in my own little world. At this point. I don't even know anymore. But that's my basic understanding of it. Always why God created inbreeding, but started with 2. I brought up the fact of like that there was only 3 sons, and like how did people like recreate from 3 men? And then you're like, oh, he's like, oh, well, there's more children. They're just not mentioned in the Bible. Okay. I mean, the Bible is pretty fucking big. Don't you think you would at least, like, I don't know, omit a chapter that fucking repeats itself 20 million times and, like, I don't know, insert the part where Eve had more kids than just 3? Yeah, something like that. But anyway, I don't know. I'm tired. I'm slap happy, and I'm getting ready to go get off or something. So, and go to sleep. I'm getting off, and then I'm getting off, and then I'm going to get off. I'm going to go to bed. I think it was yesterday I made new content. Yeah, it was yesterday. That pink frilly thing. Oh, it was nice. It was too small, but it was nice still. Yeah. I've got another one coming, I think. It's a baby doll. I love that shit. Anything that covers my stomach makes me so happy. I hate how big it is. I don't care too much about like my actual stomach, like the scars and like all that stuff. It's the size of it. It's the fact that people constantly think that I'm pregnant. Like the rest of me is not even that, I mean, kind of, maybe a little bit, but like the rest of me is not even that big. My stomach is the biggest thing on me. It's bigger than my boobs. And I hate that. I've thought about getting a tummy tuck. Like it gets in the way. And then it makes my fupa like so fat and budgy. Hey Frank. Message you on Discord. People keep messaging me on Discord and I totally fucking forget that I even have it. And then they get mad. Like Half Drunk Hero got mad at me the other day because I didn't respond to him like since Thanksgiving. Like 2 or 3 days ago. And I was like, dude, I don't fucking check this shit. Like I don't check my Discord messenger every day. I need to go through my list and like go and check 333 make a wish. I need to like check it and like make a list of each time that I've checked it and make sure that I've uploaded pictures and like what pictures went to what, and I need a marketing manager at this point. But yeah. All right. Legit, I'm going to sleep now. For real. I've said it like 50 times. I'm Italian too. So like I'll probably say bye like 20 times before I actually say bye. That's what we're here for. Bellies, I just pour Goldschlager down into my mouth and then I break your nose. Did I tell you about the body shot incident where I broke a dude's nose on my sternum? I didn't mean to. I felt so bad. It is what it is. You party with me, you party hard. So, okay. We were doing body shots at this bachelor party, right? And the guy got right here. Like I told him, put your mouth like kind of like on my stomach and like lean your head back. And like he was in between my boobs. And then like I poured the shot and instead of going like this, I went like that. And when I did it so fast, it shot like it pusted his nose up. And he was like pouring blood down his face and it was like dripping on my stomach and shit. And when he leaned back, he like had stayed still for a second. And like he leaned back and there was just blood everywhere. It was so horrible. It was horrible. I had to get down, from the stage and stuff and like go wash up because now I had this motherfucker's blood all over me. Like, what the hell? I felt so bad the whole rest of the night. I didn't do body shots. I don't even think I did body shots the next day either. That was sad. I was like, I'm sorry. He was fine after. Like, he came back, but still. No body shots. Yes. This stupid fucking bitch. It's all good. I'm cold. I'm going to bed. All right, I'm going to bed for real. It's 1:18. Hope y'all have sweet dreams. Bye, Daniel-san. Bye, Frankie Poos. Brands! How are you? I'm getting ready to go to bed too. Brands! Yay! Miss Eve, been a while, but this guy is heading to bed. Have a blessed one. Wore the fuck out. Oh, I bet. Brands, if y'all are on Twitch, go just add Brands. Just go at them. For me. Do you stream trucking? I can't remember if you did or not. I think you should. I think that would be cool. I think that would be really cool. I can't. Oh. Boo. 4 hours of sleep for the past 50 hours? Fuck a whole lot of that shit. Here's a big booby bear, mommy bear hug, okay? Go sleepy bye. Road safety is considered a driving distraction. So is me flashing you going down the road. But, I mean, what the fuck are they going to do about it? I did get a guy to, like, I did the fist pump thing, and the guy did honk his horn at me. Man, I was so excited. I was like, yes! He's probably like, flash me. Not by Twitch, but I can get in big trouble by you. Yeah, don't do anything that you're going to get in trouble. Good sleepy. I'm glad you came on my live, though. That made me feel happy. Already on it. Yeah, I'm about to, too. For real. I need to turn my heated blanket on because I guess it's not too terribly cold tonight, but still, I want to make sure that I'm nice and toasty in case if it does drop. Good deal. It's been forever. Yeah, absolutely. You're always welcome here. You're always welcome. I stream at 10 a.m., 5 p.m., and 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And usually end up going for 4 fucking hours at 10 p.m. I have 100 and something hours already streamed in like the past 3 weeks. But I'm glad you're here. Night. Mwah. Lots of love. Whenever you get a chance, let me know about LACCON 2022. If that even is still a thing. I think he already left. I'm not sure. Oh. All right, guys. Y'all have a wonderful night, and I will see you again tomorrow night, where I will read the next couple of chapters and we can bullshit around afterwards. But I really want to get through like a good portion of this book like as soon as possible because I feel like it's going to get really, really fucking hot really quickly. So y'all have a wonderful night, and I guess I will see you when I see you 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. And tomorrow all day I'm going to be working on these fucking cards and getting them done and over with because my drawing skills are sucking at this point. But whatever. Y'all have a good night, and until I see you again, behave.